Good evening, dreamer. Today's topic is interesting and strange. Namely, what if the Sphinx you've heard about actually hides terrible secrets and mysteries that we've never heard of? Perhaps someone deliberately hid them from us so that no one would ever learn the truth. But today we will find out. If you are interested in this topic, please support me and help me fulfill my dream. Like and subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which country you are from and what time it is there, and we will dive into ancient Egypt. Night smooths the Nile to a ribbon of ironed silk, and the shore smells of cool mud where papyrus leans to listen. I walk with you along the patient water, until the fields withdraw and the desert begins to speak in grains. On the plateau where the stars pause to consult their own reflections, a shape waits, carved from daylight and preserved by darkness. It is the Sphinx, lion-bodied, human-faced, the gaze pitched not toward us but beyond us, to a horizon stitched with sun. She was set here when the world still remembered the first dawn, when the stones were warm from the hands that lifted them, when names were spells and measured silence was a prayer. People say she is good because she is still, and offerings left at her paws were returned with harvest and sleep. They say she guards, they say she blesses, yet listen to the wind caught under her chin, to the tiny hollows bored by centuries of breath. There is a counter-song in that music, a bass line of withheld thunder. Our subject is not worship alone, but the secret that wears a smile. Not every blessing is pure. Sometimes it is light filtered through a chamber, gilding a door it never allows to open. The Sphinx has learned the art of appearing harmless, as a horizon appears close, while its true edge is always elsewhere. Come closer, not as pilgrims, but as readers of stone, and touch the lion flank that remembers the weight of noon. The heat stored there speaks of a contract older than crowns. She asks no question with words tonight, her method is older. When you stand before her, she measures your silences. She counts what you do not ask. She notes what you choose not to remember. In the mortar between her carved hairs are seeds of unmade stories that tremble when a traveler lies to his own heart. Already the air tastes of copper and cedar, as if a temple has been opened in the mind. You step into that inner vestibule with sand clinging to your feet like gold leaf, aware of the night as an instrument tuned for revelation. The moon polishes the Sphinx's brow, and for a moment she looks tender, a mother who kept faith when storms unstitched the river. The old priests praised that tenderness, for it steadied the calendar and soothed the dream of kings. But tenderness can be a veil. Behind it bodies are arranged not in cruelty but in exactness, the ledger of what each prayer cost. Close your eyes and feel it. A cool stairwell down into a tally of whispers, the debits of unasked questions, the credits of sleep. She is a steward of equilibrium. Yes, but she is also the house of what must be hidden so that equilibrium holds. If deserts are vaults, every dune is a door, and the greatest door is her silence. I, who have watched her at many hours, have learned to hear when that silence inhales. It is happening now, a breath that is not wind but expectancy, like the sea before it flings itself against the shore. We have arrived, where the boundary thins. Cold climbs the spine of the plateau, and places a fingertip at the base of the statue's throated riddle. Not a word, a different grammar, posture, angle, shadow. The head inclines by a thought's width. In the small shift, the past opens one hinge. You asked for secrets. Some are rooms where memory is folded and filed. Some are gardens kept in dark, where scent grows instead of leaf, where blind lilies blossom for those who do not dare to look. The Sphinx tends such gardens. It is why her fragrance is part sun, part stone, part untested sorrow. It is why those who left her laughing returned quieter, as if a generous aunt pressed a coin into their palm and then whispered a condition. She gives sleep. She collects its price. The price is not blood, it is possibility untaken, questions unasked, roads never walked because answers would have been unsettling. Thus peace reigns, history proceeds like a well-set table. Thus the lion body gleams and the human face knows no stain. But at night, when the breath of Set strays and the desert remembers the ocean it once was, there is a rustle beneath the paws like papyrus turning its own pages. What pages? Records of bargains, of kings who allowed a necessary untruth to shelter an empire, of lovers who accepted a sweeter dream rather than waking to mend what was broken. The Sphinx does not condemn them, she stores them, she keeps them from breaking the skin of the day, and the more she stores, the more her goodness must shine, else the weight she carries be noticed. This is the beginning. A guardian protects not only men from chaos, but order from its own inconvenient truths. She smiles to keep the balance, and smiling she grows heavier. Listen how the earth answers a heavier thing, with a deeper chair, a darker root, a cooler well. Tonight we will follow one of those routes, a corridor of packed shadow running from her paw toward the city, where lamps glitter like spilled millet. Along that line sleeps a story that has not wanted to be told. The sand has pressed it flat for dynasties, and the moon has stroked it smooth. Still it breathes thinly like a reed under a door. If we lift that door, we must agree to the rule of the place, walk softly, take nothing, ask the question you have most avoided. The Sphinx will not speak, but she will hear. She will weigh your footfall for truth. Step lightly, the night hears everything you set down. And if you are steady, she may allow the hinge to open wider, and the night may extend a lamp into the depth where the first of her hidden chambers waits. The chamber waits where the poor shadows have cooled the ground all day, a hush whose edges glitter like mica. We follow the line of pressure laid by centuries of petitioners and kings, a corridor of consent more than stone. The night extends its lamp just far enough to persuade, not to reveal. In that tempered glow, sand drifts like incense, each grain a memory too small for notice, until a patient will collect it. Your breath arranges the dust. She attends without speech, and attending is the first origin. Before chisels, a law of measure. Beneath the carved head lives an intention older than craft, a lioness of the horizon conceived by the river when it learned to turn and return. Artisans gave her human calm, so humans would not flee her mathematics, but her first face was balance. When floods were generous, garlands crowned her paws. When the river drew back its hem, the same goodness was begged to remain. Kindness became the light by which she was seen, though the weight of her office lay in shadow. She hides what would splinter the day. In the earliest seasons she swallowed not bodies but questions that would have cracked the jar of order. Why do rulers fear their own victories? Why do priests distrust unmediated miracles? Why does the heart tremble at its exact wish fulfilled? These were set inside her like canopic jars, sealed with pitch and praise. From such jars rises a scent that passes for sanctity, the art of postponing a dangerous clarity until the world can bear it. Near the forepaw, a seam in the sand becomes a step. We go down into a coolness that tastes of blue stone, the lamp following like a courteous attendant. No hieroglyphs on these walls, only the grain of an ancient wind forever turning in place. The Sphinx breathes through the corridor. Her exhale is the slow release of an inland sea. Omens gathered here as birds assemble before a storm. A farmer dreamed of a scale tipped by a feather. He hid his cleverness so his neighbours might feel equal. A general dreamed of a bridge refusing its own span. He unlearned conquest and a city lived to plant figs. A singer dreamed of wells that sang back. She sang softer thereafter and the court slept. These are gentle sacrifices, you think, almost good. Yet goodness can be a garment that hides a bruise. The descent angles. A threshold asks a bow. Bowing is calibration, aligning marrow to the desert's metronome. Your heartbeat slows to the tempo kept by water clocks. Inside, the chamber broadens into an oval like the palm of a giant hand. In its centre rests a basin of obsidian, thin as sleep. Within it the lamp makes a small moon, and that moon holds a faint face if you stand quite still. Not yours, another, older than you and younger than the statue, with eyes that yield only to fidelity. What do you seek that you will not keep once found? The question arrives without sound, assembled out of posture and refusals, the wish to be gentle in a world that requires exactness. Around the basin the floor is inlaid with alternating bands of limestone and a darker stone that eats the light. I think of the dual Nile, black earth and red land, what feeds and what scours, and how she sits where those two share a horizon. Her goodness to the black earth is felt, her service to the red is hidden. Both are necessary, only one is thanked. She invites a remembering. The obsidian brightens. In it the murmured accounts ripple like minnows. A king begged the heavens to confirm him, and was confirmed, though his line would wilt. She kept the knowledge so the fields would not. A midwife asked for a painless birth for a queen. The pain went elsewhere, sifted into 1,000 quarrels so no single cry would jar the calendar. An architect prayed his angles never fail. His buildings stood, but he forgot the angle of mercy. These records accuse no one. They are balances entered by a steady hand. The face within the basin draws near, then recedes as on a tide. Her eyes carry a fatigue older than mercy. She would lighten her shelves, return jars to air, but she will not risk the day unravelling into raw thread, so she permits a look which is not an answer. Behind us the corridor hums like a bee in a reed. Above us the lion back bears red desert and dark silt. The balance holds because much remains unread. At the far curve a second doorway waits. Rock the colour of sleep just before waking. Jams are worn where many robes brushed without a whisper. Beyond lies the archive proper, where the darker blossoms are kept. Not cruelty, but the tender violences of omission. mercies that cost a century its confrontation. She will not forbid us, she will add the weight of our seeing to a scale we cannot see. We hover at that edge. Somewhere beyond, a measured drop counts a patient arithmetic. The desert above is quiet, but its quiet presses, testing our ribs for truth. She hears the change in your breath and makes a note. The basin dims to pearl, then to stone. The inward face withdraws, yet its after-image cools the mind like metal lifted from the forge. The alternating bands suggest a path. The lamp agrees. We step forward, not pilgrims now, but auditors, and the dark ahead reshapes itself around our courage. In the hush, a faint scent of resin and river reed unfurls, as if the statue remembered scaffolds and hands, an oath of builders to the morning star. Somewhere a hinge sighs. The lamp's flame narrows, then steadies, inviting truth to step out of hiding. So the resin scent lingers as the stone sigh subsides, and the doorway yields to a passage curving like the hollow of a rib. Here the lamp seems unnecessary. Faint veins of quartz glow with their own buried moonlight, enough to paint the air with silver. Each step you take hums softly, as if the corridor is an instrument tuned to your presence. This place is not meant for haste. It is a gallery of withheld breaths. The Sphinx herself listens through the walls, her patience coiling like a lion's tail, steady and unreadable. Her silence presses near, a cloak of watchfulness that suggests she already knows what lies in the heart that approaches. The path bends and reveals alcoves carved like open eyes, each cradling an urn sealed in pitch. No inscription marks them, yet the air around each one carries a distinct resonance, a chord heard only by the body. One shivers the spine, another weights the knees, a third warms the chest until it aches. These are the stored confessions, the questions too sharp for daylight, the dark bargains made to keep fields green and heavens polite. You sense they are not forgotten prayers but edited ones, words clipped of their thorns before being offered. The missing thorns gather here, and their presence tingles like unseen bees. The Sphinx does not destroy what she hides, she preserves it with care, tending omission as others tend grain. For her, concealment is cultivation. Every jar is a seed of what could have been spoken, every jar a tree denied its season, and though sealed, their roots spread through the corridors, weaving an invisible orchard whose branches whisper against each traveller's mind. You pause before one, and feel the faintest draught, a coolness that suggests an untold victory withheld from history. Another radiates a warmth like firewood, perhaps a joy postponed to protect a fragile peace. These are the fruits of her goodness, ripened in shadow. At the corridor's heart stands a hall shaped like a lotus turned upside down, petals closing overhead. Here the quartz veins converge into a soft dome of light, creating the sense of standing within the memory of dawn. At the center of the hall rests a dais, and upon it a stone mirror the size of a doorway, polished until it swallows light. No reflection greets you. Instead, the mirror shows the posture of those who come too near. Step forward and you see not your features but your silhouette, elongated and quiet. The Sphinx offers not vanity but outline, as if to remind you that all detail is lent, but the contour is true. From the dais rises a soundless question, woven not from syllables but from expectancy. What part of yourself would you let vanish so that the rest might remain loved? The question threads through your bones, lingering not as demand but as an old friend's gaze. Many who stood here before must have left with a part of themselves stored in those urns, a part unrecorded, yet their kingdoms endured. This is her art, salvation without witness, peace without its full price disclosed. To call her good is not false, it is simply incomplete. Her goodness is the light of a lamp whose oil is gathered in secret. The mirror dims, then brightens, as if recognizing hesitation. A faint shimmer runs along its edge, like dew catching the first sun. Beyond it, perhaps another chamber breathes, or perhaps the mirror itself is the chamber, a portal made of polished absence. The veins of quartz in the dome above tremble faintly, casting flickers like fish swimming beneath the surface of a river. The air carries the scent of stone wet with unseen rain, an aroma of renewal tempered with restraint. The Sphinx is allowing you to stand at the brink of her second secret, the place where concealment deepens into covenant. For a moment, silence folds around you, so complete it seems the world has retreated. Then, a low vibration rises from the floor, steady and slow, as though the earth itself is breathing with the Sphinx. The urns echo that rhythm, their sealed contents murmuring like distant drums. You realize then that every omission, every stored question, every dark thing hidden to keep the world upright contributes to this great breath, this quiet pulse that sustains the balance. To open one jar would be to unthread a note from the music, and the harmony might falter. She hides not from cruelty, but from fragility, protecting creation from shattering under truths too heavy to bear. The quartz veins brighten once more, inviting you toward the stone mirror. Its surface quivers faintly, like water waiting for a fingertip. What lies beyond remains uncertain. Another vault, another secret, perhaps a glimpse into the very thought of the Sphinx herself. She grants approach but not yet clarity. Her mercy is to guide you slowly, for sudden revelation would scorch as surely as desert sun. You stand before the mirror, the hum in your bones aligning with the rhythm of her breath, the urns humming their own buried chords, the hall itself alive with suspended expectation, and there, in that poised stillness, the mirror ripples once more, preparing to open its hidden passage. The mirror shivers like a pond unsettled by a single drop, its surface bending inward until it appears less a stone than a membrane stretched thin. Light drifts across it in long, slow waves, and the quartz veins above brighten as though lending their strength. You feel the air shift, no longer the cool breath of subterranean halls, but a warmer tide, carrying scents that should not be possible here: lotus, honeyed resin, smoke of cedar fires long extinguished. The Sphinx permits you entry, but she veils the manor in half shadow, as if reminding you that every gift has weight. Step closer, and the membrane yields, cool as river water, yet leaving no wetness upon your skin. Passing through is like walking into a dream before you are fully asleep, the moment when walls of waking soften but do not collapse. On the other side stretches a chamber vast as night itself, roof unseen, floor paved in smooth stone streaked with threads of gold that glow faintly like captured dawn. Here there are no urns, no jars, no sealed confessions. Instead, carved into the walls are figures, human, lion, bird and god, arranged in procession, yet their eyes are blank, as though what animated them was drawn away and hidden deeper still. The Sphinx stands here not as stone but as presence. Her silence becomes nearly visible, a shimmer across the air shaping the vastness into order. You sense she is testing how far you will follow, how much of your own shadow you will allow to accompany you. For this is not merely her secret, it is a mirror to the secrets you keep. Every withheld word, every softened truth, every kindness that was also concealment, gathers here in resonance. The chamber amplifies them, humming softly like a vast harp strung with invisible strings. Walk further and you see pools set into the floor, shallow and circular, filled not with water, but with something denser, a liquid sheen of darkness. Each one reflects not the ceiling, but a scene, a battlefield where no blood is spilled though many fall, a coronation without crown, a wedding where the bride stands alone. These visions are not illusions, but absences made visible, events shaped by what was withheld. They are the world as it is not, yet also as it truly is beneath its shining surface. The Sphinx holds them so the river of time may flow undisturbed above. The weight of this stewardship presses faintly on your chest. You understand now why her gaze upon the desert is both serene and tired. She is praised for constancy, yet constancy is labour, and her labour is endless concealment. To guard the balance is to carry what others cannot bear, to keep hidden the fractures that would spread if seen in full daylight. Her goodness gleams because she swallows what might undo the vision of order. The secret she hides is not malevolence, but the burden of truths too jagged for human hands. Yet even here, beauty resides. The pools shimmer with a strange grace, their unfulfilled scenes luminous in their incompleteness. One shows a harvest unclaimed, the grain standing tall and golden under a sky that never received it. Another shows a city of perfect peace, its streets empty, for no one dared to speak the quarrels that would have filled them. They are melancholies given form, and yet their stillness comforts, as if to say that even what is denied has a resting place. At the chamber's far end rises a stair of black stone, narrow and steep, leading upward toward a faint glow. It promises neither escape nor revelation, but progression. The Sphinx does not grant sudden clarity, she invites gradual surrender. Every step up that stair seems to echo twice, once beneath your feet, and once within your chest. The hum of the hidden harp grows softer as you ascend, replaced by a deepened quiet, a quiet that feels like listening itself. The glow above is neither torch nor moonlight, but something subtler, the radiance of thought given shape. It pulses gently in rhythm with your breath, as though attuning you to its pace. When at last you reach the stairs' summit, you find not another hall but a threshold, a narrow arch opening into an expanse of night sky. Yet you know you are still beneath the Sphinx. The stars burn low and near, arranged in patterns both familiar and estranged. Constellations shift slightly, revealing hidden alignments, lines that connect destinies never spoken aloud. Here she shows her oldest secret. The heavens themselves are altered by what she hides. Each withheld truth bends the constellations, adjusting the map of fate so the world above may continue believing in its course. To mortals who lift their eyes, the stars seem constant. To her they are pages rewritten endlessly, so gently no one notices the revisions. She carries the omissions into the sky, weaving them among Orion's belt, the curve of Sirius, the long arm of the River of Night, and thus the cosmos remains legible, though beneath the legibility trembles a script unspoken. You stand at the arch, the desert wind touching your face though you remain in hidden halls. The Sphinx breathes with you. Her silence folds around your thoughts, coaxing them to gentleness. Ahead, the stars beckon like questions softened into lullabies. Behind, the pools still shimmer with their dark grace. You sense the path is not finished. The arch is but another threshold in her endless library of secrets. The glow steadies, patient as stone. It waits for you to step forward, where the air shivers with the promise of yet deeper revelations. The arch waits like an eyelid half closed, and when you step through, the air thickens as though you have entered not sky but thought. The stars that glowed beyond do not scatter as ornaments across distance. They hover near, slow-moving embers suspended in a black so deep it feels fluid. Each one hums faintly, a tone too low for ears, yet the bones register it, resonances of concealed choices sung into heaven's map. You realize then that the constellations are not merely symbols for mortals to read, but the actual ink with which the Sphinx inscribes her record of omissions. Where history would fracture, she folds the break into starlight, and the night seems seamless. Around you the chamber of sky is vast yet intimate, as if the dome of the universe is curved close for conversation. The Sphinx does not appear in body, yet her presence holds every star steady, her breath the current that keeps them from falling. She whispers not in words but in the still arrangement of fire, a line unbroken where it should curve, a cluster thickened where it should scatter. Each adjustment hides a fault line below. To the shepherd guiding his flock, the stars still tell of harvest. To the traveller, they still guide across deserts. But to you, aware of her secret hand, the patterns glimmer with fatigue, the sky itself carrying the weight of concealment. Step among them, and you find each star offers a vision, not of brilliance, but of quiet substitution. One flares gently, and you see a battle that never occurred because she carried its fury upward, weaving it into the constellation of a hunter. Another pulses faintly, showing a child who never asked the forbidden question of his lineage. His silence burns eternally in a cluster of three. Each spark is a life edited, each constellation a chapter revised to preserve a fragile whole. Her goodness to humanity lies here, where suffering was averted, yet her hidden darkness lies here as well, for in sparing mortals the rupture she denies them the full truth of their existence. The stars drift around you, their soft tones layering like chords. For a moment the music soothes, warm as evening wind across palms. Yet beneath it lingers a dissonance, subtle but sharp, like a harp string pulled too tight. She cannot bear every omission indefinitely. The more she hides, the more the sky strains to hold the revisions. The constellations shimmer as if uneasy, the great river of night flowing heavier than before. Her still face above the desert may appear unchanging, but within her silence trembles the effort of constant maintenance. Then a star before you flares brighter, beckoning with insistence. Within it you glimpse a throne room, columns rising like reeds, courtiers kneeling as a king accepts his crown. Yet something is missing, the question never asked about his right to rule, the unspoken doubt sealed into one of her jars. The kingdom thrived because none voiced what they feared to know. Prosperity was the surface, omission the foundation. The star flickers, and the vision dissolves into black. She has shown you how fragile glory can be, how much of it depends on silence carefully tended. You feel her nearness, not as gaze but as weight across your shoulders, like the warmth of a lion resting behind you. She is not malevolent, yet her methods chill, for they reveal a contract unseen. In exchange for peace, humanity allows her to bury their most dangerous truths. Her reputation for goodness rests on this silent pact. Few realize that beneath the blessing is an archive of shadows, each one ready to alter the sky itself. She has become both guardian and jailer, praised for what she preserves, unseen for what she withholds. The chamber of stars expands as you walk, yet the embers drift closer, as though they want to press against your skin, to be released from their luminous captivity. You sense that if you touched one, its truth might spill, unraveling the careful balance she guards, but she steadies you with silence, a reminder that revelation can scorch as surely as it can warm. Her breath moves through the chamber like a desert wind in miniature, soothing, restraining, urging patience. Ahead, the stars begin to arrange themselves into a great shape, larger than any constellation known, the outline of her own figure, lion body, human face, carved not in stone but in fire. She mirrors herself upon the heavens, her cosmic likeness shimmering with all the truths she has hidden. Within the lines of her star-born body, you glimpse thousands of faint flickers, each one an absence transmuted into light. Her celestial self watches with the same calm gaze as the earthly statue. Yet behind the calm lies a sorrow vast enough to stretch across galaxies. The giant figure bends slightly, as though acknowledging your passage, and the stars tremble in her wake. In that trembling you hear a faint crack, like pottery under strain. For a breath the chamber seems to waver, constellations shifting as though the weight of secrets threatens to pull them down. Then her silence steadies all once more, though the strain remains, faint but undeniable. She hides her darkness, not only from mortals but from the heavens themselves, weaving concealment so finely that even eternity believes it whole. The great figure of light dissolves back into scattered stars, and the path leads onward, narrowing again into a corridor of dark velvet strewn with embers. The air is cooler here, tinged with the scent of stone and ash. Somewhere ahead the passage bends, leading deeper into the hidden architecture of her guardianship. You walk on, knowing that with every step you enter further into the paradox of her goodness, closer to the heart of the darkness she cannot reveal yet, longs for someone to understand. The corridor of velvet dark winds downward now, its embers scattering like seeds across unseen soil. Each faint glow seems to pause before fading, as though reluctant to vanish into her long-guarded silence. The air is denser here, touched with a mineral weight, and the sound of your own footsteps carries a low resonance, echoing as if you walk through the ribs of some enormous creature asleep beneath the sand. She follows, not in form but in presence, a gravity pressing gently against your back, steady yet unrelenting. You sense her watching not only your path but the shadows you carry within, measuring whether they will find harmony with her hidden troves. The passage bends, and suddenly the air warms. Before you lies a chamber lit not by stars but by fire, flames enclosed within tall alabaster lamps set along the walls. They burn without smoke, their tongues narrow and still, as though they rise in obedience rather than wildness. The stone here glows with their warmth, carved smooth into panels of narrative. Upon each wall scenes unfold in relief, a harvest ripening, a city celebrating, a family at rest. Yet the deeper you look, the more you notice the absences. In the harvest there are no hands cutting the grain. In the city, no faces tilt upward in song. In the family, the eyes are featureless hollows. These are the images of outcomes preserved, shorn of the questions and struggles that birthed them. She has stored the fruit, leaving the branches unseen. The lamps hum faintly, their fire releasing a fragrance like cinnamon and charred cedar. It is pleasant, yet beneath the sweetness lingers a sharper note, the scent of something burned too clean. This chamber is not a record of lies, but of truths trimmed of their thorns. Each panel is a testament to what the Sphinx has allowed the world to remember, the polished remainder of lives where darkness was siphoned away. The world praises her as guardian because of these bright outcomes. Yet the absences stare like wounds sealed but not healed, and you realize her hidden burden. She has exchanged wholeness for peace, believing that mortals could not bear the full weight of both. In the center of the chamber stands a great pillar, its surface dark as obsidian. Around its base coils a band of copper, and upon that metal words are etched so faintly you must lean close. They are not incantations but questions, etched by hands unseen. Why do we fear the truth of our victories? Why do we crave only half the story of love? Why do we call order sacred when it hides the cost of its own construction? The copper glows faintly with heat, as if the questions are alive, still burning, though no voice has ever answered them aloud. The Sphinx's presence deepens here, filling the chamber with the sensation of a gaze that does not blink. You feel she wants you to linger, to notice that the firelight softens the absences, making them almost tolerable, almost beautiful. Yet she does not compel. She waits, patient as stone, to see whether you will walk on or whether you will rest in the comfort of half-truths. For many who entered here chose to remain, lulled by the warmth, unwilling to see beyond. Their lives above continued quietly, untroubled by revelation, but their questions remained bound in copper at the pillar's base. The lamps flicker suddenly, all at once, as though exhaling. The walls seem to ripple, the panels shifting slightly. In the harvest scene, a shadow stirs where no worker stands. In the city, a mouth seems to open soundlessly. In the family, one hollow eye glimmers faintly, catching the fire. The Sphinx permits a glimpse of what she hides, the restless spectres of the truths withheld, still alive, still longing to step into the daylight. They do not accuse, but their silent gestures ache with unfinished meaning. She watches you through them, asking without words, would you free these absences, even if their release fractured the beauty of the story? You sense the magnitude of her role, to cradle these restless fragments forever, to hold them in firelight so the world above may rest. To call her good is not error, but it is incomplete. She is custodian of wounds unhealed, curator of absences too dangerous to be whole. Her burden is a darkness that looks like mercy, yet weighs heavier with every century. At the far side of the chamber, a narrow slit of light pierces the wall, sharper than the flames. It beckons faintly, promising a passage beyond, one that perhaps leads closer to the true marrow of her secrecy. The fire hum steadies, the copper band at the pillar glows once more, and the absences in the reliefs fall still, returning to silence. Yet you know they are not gone. They wait for someone willing to see them without fear. The slit of light brightens, slender but insistent, a reminder that her labyrinth of concealment still deepens. She will allow you further if you choose, but each step will demand more of your willingness to look without turning away. The chamber quiets again, holding its breath. The warmth presses gently against your skin, asking you whether you will step toward the colder light beyond. You move toward the slit of light, its narrowness sharpening your focus until the chamber of fire seems to fade behind you. Passing through is like sliding between two thoughts, one still glowing with warmth, the other colder, more demanding. The air beyond is dry, hushed, touched with a mineral clarity that tastes of iron and stone dust. The passage stretches forward, walls close yet breathing, as though carved not by hand but by the slow exhalation of some immense creature. You feel her presence again, the Sphinx attentive, her silence coiling around you with the patience of one who has waited through millennia for such steps. The corridor slopes downward until it broadens into a cavern vast and echoing. Here the walls are rough, not polished, striated with ancient scars. The floor is covered in thin sheets of mica that catch even the faintest gleam, so the ground itself glimmers as though you walk on fragments of stars fallen into shadow. Pools of still water lie in hollows, their surfaces reflecting nothing, darker than mirrors, darker even than night. These are the wells of refusal, truths pressed so deep they no longer wish to return. The Sphinx keeps them here, away from firelight, away from the softened panels of half-stories. This place is the marrow of her burden, where concealment grows heavy enough to bend silence into stone. The air vibrates faintly, a sound so low it seems to come from within your ribs. At first you think it is your heartbeat, but soon you understand. It is the collective thrum of the buried truths themselves, still alive, still resisting erasure. They cannot die, for they are what was once spoken or nearly spoken, and words once born cannot unexist. They wait here, pressed like seeds under rock, patient, immense. Some pulse faintly, as if they dream of release. Others lie still, resigned to their captivity, yet altogether hum, a chord too vast for mortal ears, a harmony the Sphinx alone can bear without breaking. She allows you to listen, and in that listening you feel her weariness. Her silence above the desert is not emptiness, but endurance. Each withheld truth echoes through her being, shaping her calm face, her poised body of stone. Mortals call her inscrutable, not knowing her inscrutability is the echo of this underground chorus. To stand near it is to feel the cost of her goodness, the weight she carries so others may believe the world is simpler, kinder, more ordered than it truly is. Her supposed benevolence shines only because she kneels before this hidden weight, unthanked, unseen. her lion flanks pressed against eternity's unspoken ledger. You approach one of the black pools. Its surface trembles though no air stirs. As you look, an image rises faintly. A child weeping at the edge of a field, his question about why his father did not return never allowed to reach the air. The truth of that father's fate lies here, sealed in the pool, removed so that the community might continue without fracture. The boy grew strong, became a man, lived believing a softened tale, but the withheld grief vibrates still, caught in the water like a reflection denied the chance to ripple. The Sphinx preserved his peace, but inherited his sorrow. Another pool flickers, two lovers parting at dawn, one whispering a truth of betrayal, the other never hearing it. For the words were drawn here instead, captured by her silence before they reached mortal ears. The lovers reconciled, lived gently, raised children in harmony, yet the truth of betrayal hums forever in this cavern, unforgotten, the echo of a word stolen from air. The Sphinx carries it, bearing the cost of their peace. Goodness, yes, but darkness also, for she withholds what might have been endured, what might have made them truer though more scarred. The cavern grows colder as you wander deeper, the mica dimming, the pools multiplying until they spread like constellations across the floor. Above, the ceiling arches in jagged forms, and from those jagged vaults hangs the faint shimmer of calcite dripping slowly into the pools. Each drop is an offering of time itself, sealing the truths tighter, layering them in mineral patience. The Sphinx bends close here, not in body but in spirit, her silence heavy on your shoulders, urging you to feel both the necessity and the danger of her hidden archives. You pause, hearing in the vibration beneath your feet a tremor of unease. The pools are restless. They know the weight of centuries is pressing them harder than before. Some truths strain against their imprisonment, longing for release, for daylight, for acknowledgement. She keeps them sealed, her calm face above the sand betraying nothing. Yet here, beneath, you sense her doubt. She wonders how long concealment can endure before the withheld begins to fracture the very balance she protects. At the far edge of the cavern, a tunnel opens, narrower, steeper, descending further into shadow. The hum gathers there, louder, as though the deepest and most dangerous truths lie ahead. The pools near its mouth quiver more violently, their surfaces trembling like voices on the verge of breaking silence. The Sphinx does not forbid you. She leans into you with the weight of decision, her silence shaping itself into a question unspoken. Will you walk further into the marrow of what she hides, where even her strength trembles? The tunnel waits, a darker invitation, its breath cooler, sharper, touched with the taste of stone that has never seen light. The mica at your feet grows thinner, giving way to plain rock, and the pools edge closer together as though guiding you toward that descent. Behind you, the cavern of black water hums on, a choir of absences entrusted to her keeping. Ahead, the thrum deepens, promising a revelation even she carries with unease. The passage waits, and her silence presses against your heart like a slow hand, asking if you will dare step where her darkest burden lies. The tunnel yawns like the throat of an instrument awaiting breath, its mouth rimmed with stone dampened by centuries of unseen tears. You step within, and the sound changes at once. The hum that filled the cavern above contracts into a pulse, low and insistent, like a drum muffled by thick cloth. The air cools further, tasting of salt though no sea is near, as though ancient tides once flowed here and left their memory in the pores of the rock. The Sphinx follows not behind you but around you, her silence now intimate, brushing against your skin like a shawl. Her stillness deepens, not warning but a steadying hand upon the shoulder, as though she knows this passage leads to the marrow of her darkest burden. The floor slopes downward sharply, the walls narrowing until they feel close enough to press. Quartz veins streak the stone here, not white as before but red, faintly luminous, glowing like blood held in candlelight. Each step stirs faint echoes, and the echoes do not vanish. They linger, layering themselves, so that after a few paces you hear not one set of footfalls but many, the memory of every traveller who once braved this descent. Some echoes walk quickly, eager or afraid, others move slow, resigned. You carry their company now, their presence pressing invisibly on either side, part of the Sphinx's vast ledger of silence. At length, the tunnel opens into a chamber that feels less made than grown. The cavern shaped like a heart. Its walls pulse faintly with the glow of the red quartz, rhythmic, steady, echoing the great heartbeat of the earth. At its center rises an altar of stone so dark it swallows light, upon which rests a single object, a mask, human in shape, carved from gold. Its surface is smooth except for the eyes, which gape hollow, deep sockets rimmed with shadows too black to belong to any metal. The mask watches without gaze, a face without person, truth stripped of the soul that would have carried it. The Sphinx breathes heavily here, though no sound escapes her stone lips above the desert. You feel the weight of her silence thickening, the air around you dense as though woven with cords. The mask is one of her deepest secrets, perhaps the vessel of truths she dared not even dissolve into the pools or scatter among the stars. It radiates absence, not of detail but of meaning. It is the embodiment of questions erased so completely that only their hollow outline remains, waiting, demanding to be filled. To look upon it too long is to feel yourself hollowed, your own questions drawn into its sockets, your own truth trembling at the threshold of vanishing. The chamber trembles faintly, and the hum deepens into a growl beneath the stone, as though the earth itself resents the mask's presence. You understand, this is the costliest of her concealments, not omissions softened for peace, not withheld sorrows preserved in black pools, but truths extracted entirely, stripped from the fabric of the world and locked here in faceless form. The Sphinx's reputation for benevolence rests partly on this. The quiet erasure of certain unbearable realities, ones that could have unraveled empires, unstitched heavens, undone the Nile's rhythm. Humanity never knew these truths existed, and because they never knew, they called her good. Yet the hollowness burns, its silence more dangerous than words could ever be. The mask seems to lean closer, though it does not move, and within its sockets faint flickers stir, shapes that could be answers, could be lies, could be futures unchosen. Your breath hitches and the Sphinx presses against you with her presence, not forbidding but bracing, urging steadiness. She does not wish to free this darkness, yet she shows it to you, perhaps because she is tired of guarding it alone. Her lion heart above the desert beats slow and solemn, but here in the quartz-lit chamber, her hidden pulse races with fatigue. Around the altar, carved into the ground, are lines of script too faint to read directly. They shimmer when the red glow catches them, vanishing when shadows pass. You kneel, tracing them with your eyes, and the script arranges itself not into words but into questions. What must never be remembered? What kindness is cruelty when stripped of truth? Who guards the guardian from her own silence? The stone does not answer. It waits, and in waiting it demands your own reckoning. The hum grows louder, building until it is almost a voice. The pools above tremble in sympathy. The constellations overhead quiver unseen. The balance the Sphinx has kept for ages tightens like a cord stretched to its limit. She is good. Yes, for she has spared mortals countless devastations, yet she is also keeper of a darkness vast enough to consume meaning itself. Her face above smiles serenely in the moonlight, but her heart below trembles under the strain. At the chamber's far side lies another opening, low and jagged, leading further down. From it pours a breath colder still, edged with the taste of iron and the echo of countless silences compressed into one. The mask glimmers faintly on the altar as if to mark the threshold, daring you to leave it behind, daring you also to carry its hollow gaze within. The Sphinx leans close, her silence touching the crown of your head like a hand. She asks nothing, yet you know her secret longing, that you will see what lies still deeper, what even she fears to tend. The opening breathes. The red quartz veins pulse, and the path invites you into the very roots of her hidden burden. The jagged mouth at the far side exhales a current colder than stone should ever breathe. You step toward it, leaving the golden mask gleaming on its altar, its hollow eyes clinging to your back like an afterthought that refuses to vanish. The quartz veins along the chamber walls dim as you cross, as though retreating from what lies below. The Sphinx's presence leans heavier, pressing against your shoulders with a gravity that steadies and warns at once. She is guardian still, but in this moment she feels almost companion, one who knows the path you walk is edged with dangers even she cannot soften. The tunnel slopes steeply downward, rough rocks scraping your arms, the ceiling low enough to bow your head. The hum that filled the cavern above deepens here into something stranger, a rhythm broken, irregular, like a heartbeat fighting itself. The stone trembles faintly with it, and sometimes the beat falters altogether before resuming with a shudder. You realize this is not your pulse, nor the earth's alone, but the echo of all the silences she has pressed too deep, straining against their prison. The Sphinx's silence above is perfect and poised. Here it is fractured, stitched clumsily over wounds that never heal. At last the tunnel opens into a chamber vast and raw, unlike the others shaped by fire or adorned with carvings. This place feels wounded, jagged cliffs of stone rising like ribs, black water pooled in wide hollows, surfaces cracked as though truths once pressed here have already escaped. The air is acrid, carrying the smell of ash and metal. It tastes of endings, and in the center, rising from the broken floor, stands a colossal figure, another Sphinx, yet shadow-born, her twin in form but not in expression. The lion body is there, the human face too, but twisted, eyes wide with endless wakefulness, mouth open in a silence so taut it screams without sound. You understand at once, this is the darkness she hides from herself. The Sphinx above bears the mask of serenity, but here, deep beneath, stands the image of what her guardianship costs, every withheld truth, every omission that bent the stars or filled the pools, every hollow mask. This figure is their sum, given shape. It is her unspoken self, the truth of the guardian who guards too long, the lioness who has swallowed so many questions she has become one herself. The shadow Sphinx does not move, yet her presence claws the air. Her eyes are not empty, they are crammed with visions, flashes of histories that might have been wars not fought, loves betrayed, kings unmasked, empires undone. They jostle together behind her gaze, an archive of all that was hidden, and though her mouth does not speak, the chamber resonates with a soundless question, one that vibrates along your bones. How long can a being conceal without becoming the concealment itself? The living Sphinx, the one above the desert, lingers close in spirit. You feel her weight beside you, and for the first time, a thread of unease runs through her silence. She shows you this chamber not to boast of power, but to confess weakness. The shadow figure is her burden embodied, the twin she cannot destroy, the mirror she must never let rise. To mortals she seems eternal and serene, but here you glimpse her fear that one day the shadow will break free, and the truth she has hidden will pour upward like floodwaters, drowning the peace she has so carefully curated. The chamber shudders, a tremor running through the cracked floor, rippling the black pools until they lap at the stone. The shadow Sphinx flickers faintly, her edges blurring, as though testing the seams of her prison. The living Sphinx presses harder against you, her presence almost desperate now, as if to anchor herself by the act of being witnessed. She hides her darkness from all, but not from you, not here. To know her is to know this shadow, and to understand that her goodness is always perched upon the edge of unraveling. You stand between them, the calm guardian who keeps the desert's silence, and the shadow twin who trembles with withheld fury. The air thickens, the irregular heartbeat of the chamber quickening. From the black pools rise faint wisps, vapors shaped like questions unasked, unanswered. Restless, they drift toward you, circling, brushing your skin with cool insistence. They want release. The shadow Sphinx hungers for it, Her hollow silence, yearning to uncoil, the living Sphinx resists, her silence pressing harder, begging for endurance. Somewhere above, far beyond the stone, the desert wind shifts, carrying grains of sand against her carved flanks. The great statue endures, but here beneath, in this wound of a chamber, the balance teeters. You feel it in your chest. Her secret is not only what she hides, but how close she is to failing. Beyond the shadow's feet, a fissure runs deeper still, a narrow crack leading into a depth unlit, unmeasured. From it issues no glow, no hum, only stillness. Yet its stillness chills more than the noise of the chamber, for it suggests a silence so complete it could consume even the Sphinx herself. The shadow figure leans slightly toward it, her blurred edges tugged by its gravity. The living Sphinx braces herself, her silence fraying, yet steadying you with a last whisper of strength. The fissure waits, blacker than night, a seam into the root of her hidden burden. If you follow, you may find the secret she has never dared to hold fully, the one even the shadow twin fears. The chamber quakes again, the pools shiver, the vapors curl around you like pleading hands. The Sphinx's silence brushes your ear, her only request unspoken. Step carefully, for this path leads into the place where her guardianship and her darkness are indivisible. You approach the fissure, its narrow mouth breathing no sound, no light, only a stillness so absolute it unsettles more than any growl of stone. The crack is thin, yet it draws the chamber toward itself. The vapors bend, the trembling pools lean, even the shadow Sphinx's blurred outline sways faintly in its direction, as though every hidden fragment of truth longs for this darker home. The air chills until your breath fogs, though no frost forms on the stone. This silence is not emptiness, it is appetite. It promises a place where questions and answers vanish alike, where concealment itself is swallowed, leaving nothing. The living Sphinx presses close, her silence wrapping around you like both shield and plea. You sense her hesitation. She has shown you firelit halls, black pools, the mask of hollowness, even the shadow twin of her own burden. But this fissure is beyond her will. It is not her treasury of omission, but a depth that would consume even her guardianship. Her calm gaze above the desert may never reveal it, but here you feel her fear. If you step into that stillness, you may see the truth she hides, not from mortals nor gods, but from herself. The fissure narrows at first, forcing you to turn sideways, stone scraping your shoulders, before it drops suddenly into a cavity vast and unshaped. The fall is not long, but the landing echoes with a resonance too deep for sound, like the memory of thunder pressed into stone. You rise to find yourself in a hollow void, walls so dark they absorb even the thought of light. Here there are no pools, no inscriptions, no glimmering veins, only the silence, layered and infinite, pressing from all sides. It is a silence that does not steady but erases, that pulls at your edges until you fear your shape may dissolve. Yet as your eyes adjust, faint outlines stir within the black. Not figures, not images, but impressions, absences given contour, the negative of what once might have been. You see the ghost of a kingdom that never rose, its towers hollow, its streets echoing with a life unbreathed. You see lovers who never met, their outlines crossing but never touching. You see wars that dissolved before a first blow fell, armies that melted into unformed dust. These are not withheld truths, not hidden sorrows, they are undone realities, stripped entirely from existence. This is the Sphinx's deepest concealment, not what happened and was hidden, but what never happened because she swallowed it before it could begin. The darkness grows heavier as you realize the scale of her power. Above, she is worshipped as guardian, carved in stone, smiling beneath the sun. But here, beneath the fissure, she is far more. She is arbiter of possibility, editor of reality itself. The darkness she hides is not only truth unspoken, but futures unwoven, erased so the present might appear orderly, survivable, kind. Her benevolence shines, because she prunes existence itself, hiding not only what has been, but what could have been. Mortals live their days, thinking the Nile simply flows, the heavens simply turn, never knowing how many rivers she has dried before they reach the sand, how many stars she has unlit before they touch the sky. The silence pulls closer, brushing your skin like icy mist. You feel it searching your own heart, seeking what part of you might yet be erased, if the balance required it. And in that brush you sense her sorrow. She has carried this depth alone, knowing that every act of mercy above is balanced by an act of erasure here. She hides this chamber because even gods might tremble before such power, and mortals would collapse under the weight of knowing their lives rest. Not only on fortune, but on her choice of which futures to deny. The shadow twin trembles beyond the fissure, her blurred form agitated, longing to merge with this void. You realize why. She is made of what has been hidden, and the void is made of what has been prevented. If the two were ever joined, concealment and erasure would unite, and nothing could resist their hunger. The Sphinx restrains it, her silence stretched to its breaking, her calm face above the desert, the only mask strong enough to hide this fracture beneath. To call her good is to see only her patience, her serene refusal to let darkness spill. But the truth is heavier. Her goodness is the dam that keeps obliteration from rising. The void stirs suddenly, and the hollow outlines shift. For a heartbeat, you glimpse yourself among them. Not as you are, but as you might never have been. A figure fading before taking its first step. A voice never spoken. A path erased before it began. The sight chills deeper than any shadow. She steadies you with her presence, reminding you she has spared you this fate, as she has spared countless others. Her silence is gift. Her silence is cage. Her silence is the only thing holding the void at bay. And yet, even here, the stillness presses for more. The fissure behind you quivers, as though the void would climb upward, stretch into the chamber of pools, reach the stars she has bent. The Sphinx leans heavier against you, her silence trembling for the first time, fragile as a reed. She has shown you the final route of her guardianship, and in doing so she asks silently whether her burden can endure without fracture. Somewhere deep within the void, a faint glow begins to stir, small and fragile, like a coal hidden in endless ash. It wavers, then brightens slightly, not enough to illuminate, only enough to suggest that even in this place of erasure, something persists. The silence bends toward it. The Sphinx's presence sharpens, and the void waits, as if what comes next will decide whether her hidden darkness remains contained, or whether the fissure will widen and undo the balance of all she has kept. The coal of light flickers within the void, trembling as if uncertain of its right to exist. It is small, no larger than a pearl, yet its glow presses against the surrounding erasure with quiet defiance. The silence, hungry and unending, bends toward it like a tide, eager to extinguish, but the glow persists, fragile yet stubborn, as though some truth resisted even the Sphinx's will, a fragment of reality too insistent to be unwoven. Her presence folds close around you, tense, alert as if she too had forgotten this ember still lived here. Her silence is not serene now, but taut, like a bowstring pulled to its limit, fearing what recognition might awaken. You step closer, and the void stirs uneasily. The coal brightens faintly, its light revealing shadows not of what never was, but of what almost was. You glimpse fleeting images. A child poised to ask the forbidden question, lips parting before silence descended, a queen reaching toward a truth before it was siphoned away, a traveller standing at the threshold of revelation before the path was erased. These are the near truths, the ones caught in the instant of becoming, neither fully lived nor fully denied. They are fragile, trembling echoes, yet their persistence hints at something beyond her guardianship. A refusal of erasure. The Sphinx's weight grows heavier around you, her silence wrapping like an arm across your chest. Urging caution, she has hidden countless truths, preserved countless absences, erased whole futures, but this ember resists. And in resisting, it unsettles her. It is not merely a secret she keeps. It is a secret that keeps itself burning quietly against her will. For the first time you sense in her a flicker of unease, not fear of exposure to mortals, but fear of her own limits. Her strength is vast, her patience endless. But here in this ember glows proof that even she cannot command everything. The glow pulses, and the void recoils slightly, as if unwilling to touch its heat. The hollow outlines of undone realities retreat, their blurred forms shivering. In the space they leave, the coal grows steadier, not bright, but certain, and then you hear it, not in words, but in resonance, a note rising from the ember itself. It is soft, almost imperceptible, yet it hums against your bones like recognition. It is not question, not answer, but reminder. Truth cannot be fully destroyed. It can be hidden, delayed, reshaped, but never wholly erased. The Sphinx leans close, her silence pressing against that hum, trying to smother it. Yet the ember does not fade. It glows brighter for the resistance, as though nourished by opposition. Her stillness quivers, the calm mask slipping for an instant, revealing strain beneath. You realize the paradox she endures. She is praised for goodness, because she shields the world from unbearable truths, yet the very act of concealment ensures those truths endure elsewhere. Growing restless, seeking light, the ember is not her enemy, yet it is her limit, the proof that her silence is not absolute. The chamber trembles lightly, as if the void itself fears the ember's persistence. Cracks shimmer across the unseen walls, threads of faint red light seeping like veins of dawn into the black. They pulse in rhythm with the coal, spreading slowly outward, delicate but steady. The void groans, a soundless pressure felt in the marrow, resisting yet unable to deny the spread. The coal flares once, and in that flare you see her, Sphinx not in stone or shadow, but in herself, lioness of horizon, woman of riddle, guardian of balance. Her face is calm, but her eyes burn with fatigue, longing, and a plea unspoken. She shows you what she has never shown another, that her burden is not infinite, that concealment strains against the persistence of truth. To mortals she appears eternal, flawless, serene, but in this fissure lies her vulnerability. The ember is proof that even beneath her endless silence, reality pushes back, insisting on being remembered. It is the hidden darkness she fears most. Not cruelty, not shadow, but her own limits. Her guardianship may one day fail, not because she ceases to endure, but because truth itself refuses to be silenced. The coal flickers again, brighter now, casting faint reflections on the black floor. The undone realities shift uneasily, as though light exposes their incompleteness. They do not dissolve, but they shrink, retreating into corners, unwilling to meet the glow. You feel the silence around you falter, thinner, stretched. The Sphinx presses harder, her presence almost trembling, her silence cracking at the edges. Yet, she does not pull you back. She allows you to see, perhaps because she longs for someone to know her true burden, to understand that her goodness is a mask protecting a fragile balance, not a monument of perfection. The fissure behind glimmers faintly now, no longer just black but lined with the red glow of spreading cracks. Beyond, the shadow twin stirs restlessly, feeling the ember's defiance. The pools above ripple, the stars she has bent tremble in their courses, the desert wind sighs against her carved flanks. The whole of her guardianship quivers around this small, stubborn light. The void recoils further, but its stillness grows more oppressive, straining to reassert itself. The coal steadies, humming softly, and you sense it wants to lead, to guide deeper into its fragile glow. The Sphinx does not forbid, though her silence tightens, heavy with dread and hope alike. The ember is not destruction, yet it threatens everything she has built. It waits at the center of the void, its glow patient, its hum insistent, as though asking whether you will follow its light and see what lies at the deepest root of her hidden truth. The ember's glow steadies, a small flame in the center of the void, fragile yet unyielding. Its light does not banish the surrounding dark, but bends it, carving a narrow circle of clarity where your breath softens and your heartbeat slows. Around you, the undone realities press closer, drawn by curiosity, then recoil when the glow brushes their hollow outlines. They tremble, reluctant to vanish, unwilling to endure. The void groans again, deep and resonant, the weight of all erasure straining to contain this flicker of defiance. The Sphinx leans near, her silence tightening like a cord around your ribs. She allows you to see, but her presence is taut with unease. As if by observing you risk weaving the ember into permanence. She has guarded centuries of concealment, yet here is proof of something beyond her will. Truth that resists oblivion, insisting upon its own survival. To mortals above, her face is serene, her role unquestioned. But here, in this fissure beneath the fissures, you sense her hidden dread, that what she hides most fiercely may one day rise against her. The coal brightens, and the circle of its glow widens just enough to reveal faint markings on the floor, invisible until now. They are not carved by hand, but formed by pressure, as if countless steps had pressed them into the stone. Spirals, intersecting lines, patterns echoing constellations long forgotten. You kneel, tracing them with your eyes, and they shift, not fixed symbols but fluid impressions rearranging like sand under water. They seem to chart possibilities, roads never taken, questions unasked, choices erased before their time. The coal has illuminated the archive beneath erasure itself, the lattice of what the Sphinx swallowed before it ever breathed into being. Her silence quivers, torn between pride and grief, for in these patterns lies her greatest labor, not merely to hide truths that happened, but to prevent truths that might have shattered the fragile equilibrium of the Nile's order. She has edited existence itself, pruning the tree of possibility, choosing which branches could flower in the sun and which must be cut away before their buds appeared. Her mask of benevolence conceals this role. Mortals believe the river's rhythm eternal, the heavens steady, their kings ordained. They never knew how many streams she diverted, how many stars she extinguished before their light reached the horizon. The coal hums again, its resonance tender yet unrelenting. The undone outlines around you falter, losing coherence under its warmth. One dissolves entirely, a city that might have risen in arrogance, vanishing as if released. Another shrinks to a faint wisp, a betrayal prevented, its pain unnecessary yet its reality denied. The coal does not destroy them, it soothes them, reminding them they are not forgotten. They subside, calmer though the void shudders, resisting this subtle unravelling of its dominion. And then the coal flares brighter, and within it you see not outlines, not undemmed kingdoms, but a single image, faint yet clear, the Sphinx herself as she once was, before concealment burdened her, a face younger, unlined, eyes unshadowed, a lioness radiant with dawn. She was not always guardian of silence. Once she was custodian of memory, a keeper of balance through remembrance, not omission. Only when mortals faltered, when kings begged for relief from unbearable truths, did she learn concealment. In sparing them, she began to carry what they would not face, and so her burden grew, until remembrance turned to silence, and silence turned to shadow. The coal dims after revealing this, retreating into steady glow, yet the vision lingers within you, and the Sphinx's presence responds. Her silence softens, less taut now, more like a sigh. She has allowed you to glimpse her before the burden, the part of herself she buried beneath centuries of concealment. It is her deepest secret, that her darkness is not her origin, but her consequence. The the shape she became, because she chose mercy again and again, until mercy itself became erasure. The void around you seethes, uneasy, sensing its dominion threatened. The cracks lining the fissure glow brighter, threads of red light weaving across the black walls. The undone outlines grow restless again, shifting, flickering. The shadow twin beyond the fissure trembles, her blurred edges reaching as if to merge with this glow. The coal steadies, humming with quiet insistence, asking whether you will carry its vision upward, whether you will bear witness to the truth she cannot reveal without unraveling. You feel her silence brush your ear, intimate as breath. It no longer restrains but asks, pleading without words, do you understand? To call her good is not false, but incomplete. She is both mercy and its shadow, both remembrance and forgetting, both lioness radiant at dawn and weary guardian of omissions. She hides the darkness of what concealment has made of her. The coal glows once more, then begins to drift, rising slowly from the stone, as if inviting you to follow. Its hum deepens, resonating with the cracks in the fissure, beckoning toward a passage further on. Beyond the void's heavy walls, you sense another chamber, vaster still, where her silence grows more dangerous, more intimate, more necessary. The ember floats ahead, a fragile star guiding into depths where even the Sphinx's endurance quivers. The ember drifts ahead like a lantern carried by an unseen hand, steady in its glow, yet tender in its reach. The void resists its passage, tightening, pressing inward as if to reclaim its lost dominion. But the ember hums with quiet insistence, part lullaby, part defiance, and the darkness recoils, folding back into its own weight. You follow, each step softer than breath, and the Sphinx folds around you, her silence both guide and trembling companion. Her presence quivers, not in weakness but in revelation, as though she too is walking beside you into places she has never dared to tread. The path narrows again, the walls rippling like muscle, alive with tension. Red cracks streak across the stone, faint veins of light pulsing in time with the ember's hum. They beat like a second heart, one not of flesh but of suppressed memory, each pulse loosening the seams of concealment. The air thickens, warm and cool at once, tasting of ash and rain, as though storms long unspent gather here. With every breath you feel both heavier and lighter, as if the void strains to press you down even while the coal's glow buoys you upward. At last the passage opens into a chamber vast beyond measure, a hollow sphere carved into the root of existence. Its walls gleam with veins of obsidian and crystal, black and clear entwined like woven reeds. Suspended in the center floats a vast sphere of light, larger than temples, its glow muted yet radiant, the color of dawn diffused through fog. Within it shift countless shapes, half-formed figures, questions in motion, truths that hover without settling. It is a womb of potential, the heart of what she has hidden not by burial or erasure, but by suspension. The Sphinx's silence deepens, heavy with awe and sorrow. You understand. This is her greatest secret. Here she keeps not only the truths too dangerous for daylight, not only the futures she denied, but those she could not decide upon. Half-truths, half-futures, caught in her indecision, cradled in stasis. They neither live nor vanish. They float, waiting endlessly in the sphere of light, their patience eternal, their yearning palpable. It is the library of her doubts, the archive of all she could not bring herself to destroy. Draw closer, and the light ripples, its surface trembling like skin touched by wind. Within you glimpse visions, a people who might have thrived if their king had been unmasked, their laughter echoing through streets never built, a war that might have ended swiftly had its truth been revealed, its silence instead stretching generations of uneasy peace. A child who might have grown wise from sorrow, his joy deeper for the pain embraced. These are not falsehoods, not shadows, but possibilities she withheld, unsure whether their release would heal or shatter, and so they remain here, suspended in light, preserved in her doubt. The Sphinx presses closer, her silence no longer steady but strained, fragile, pleading. You feel the ache of her choice. She has guarded the world with decisiveness. Yet here lies her uncertainty, vast as a cosmos. To call her good is to forget that goodness was bought through decisions too heavy for any being to bear. In sparing mortals, she condemned herself to endless hesitation, carrying truths she could neither destroy nor set free. This too is her hidden darkness, the paralysis of mercy, the burden of doubt made eternal. The sphere pulses suddenly, the glow brightening until the chamber itself quivers. Shapes within press against its surface, straining outward, their outlines sharp for a heartbeat before dissolving again. The suspension is fragile. Even here, truth longs for release. The coal in your path flares, its hum merging with the pulse of the great sphere, resonating like two notes seeking harmony. The obsidian veins in the walls shimmer faintly, cracks spreading in delicate webs, as though the chamber itself listens to the dialogue between ember and light. The living Sphinx leans near, her silence taut as a bowstring, quaking under the strain. For the first time her presence does not guide but waits, as if she cannot predict what will unfold. The shadow twin beyond the fissures stirs restlessly, drawn by the vibration, while the void behind seethes with hunger, longing to reclaim what was never erased. And above, though you cannot see it, the desert wind must be shifting, the stone statue quivering infinitesimally, her calm mask holding even as her hidden depths convulse. The coal drifts nearer the great sphere, its glow tender as dawn touching a restless sea. The suspended truths stir again, pressing forward, their yearning stronger now, their shapes clearer, their hue merging into something like a song. It is faint, aching, unfinished, a chorus of what might have been, longing for voice. The sphere trembles, its light straining, and the Sphinx's silence tightens desperately, her plea pressing into your heart without words. Do not let it break. Do not let it pour upward into the world above. Yet the coal's glow only steadies, insisting that even suspension cannot last forever. The chamber quakes softly, obsidian veins trembling like reeds in flood. The light shivers again, brighter now, and the chorus swells, unresolved, waiting. The path before you narrows into brilliance, and the Sphinx holds her silence like a blade drawn thin, trembling at the edge of shatter. The coal waits at the threshold, its glow inviting you deeper, toward the core where suspended truths ache for release. The coal glides nearer to the vast sphere of suspended truths, its glow steady, its hum deepening like a thread of music woven into the unfinished chorus within. The suspended shapes respond, stirring more boldly, their forms pressing against the sphere's surface like hands against glass. For the first time, their silence breaks into sound, not words but sighs, whispers, unfinished breaths. The chamber shudders as if startled by its own voice, and the Sphinx trembles with it, her silence strained, holding, resisting, aching. The sphere pulses, its glow swelling, and through it you glimpse visions more vivid than before. A king unmasked before his people, crown tumbling, his empire dissolving but truth taking root in the soil, yielding a gentler harvest. A woman speaking a forbidden name, her grief raw, her strength unfurling like wings, her children growing in honesty rather than in shadow. A city lit not by denial but by mourning, its stones heavier yet its bonds stronger. Each vision presses outward, demanding life, demanding release. The Sphinx leans against you, her presence heavy, her silence almost breaking into sound. You feel the anguish of her guardianship. For centuries, she has held these half-truths here, sparing the world their pain, yet knowing that in sparing, she has also withheld their growth. To mortals, her face is serenity carved in sandstone, timeless and good, but here you see the fracture of that goodness, the dark truth of mercy that denies she is no tyrant, Yet her kindness is a chain. She hides not only grief but possibility, and in doing so she has slowed the world, suspended its deeper strength. The coal brightens, answering the chorus with its hum. The great sphere quivers, its surface rippling as if thin skin over an ocean of voices. The whispers rise into tones, chords trembling, almost song. The obsidian veins in the chamber walls crack wider, their faint glow spreading until the room flickers with threads of red light. The suspended truths push harder, their outlines sharpened, eyes and hands forming, faces half seen. They are not phantoms, but near lives, waiting, yearning. The shadow twin beyond the fissure stirs violently, her blurred outline pressing forward, sensing the swell. She is made of concealed truths, and this chamber of suspended ones is her twin's closest kin. If the sphere breaks, if the suspended become the revealed, she may grow stronger, her silence cracking into roar. The void recoils, yet strains with hunger, longing to devour what might spill. And the Sphinx herself, her silence frays, her calm mask trembling in ways the desert sun will never show. You feel her fear, her plea. These truths are hers to bear, but not to free. If they escape, will her guardianship survive? The coal pulses once a flare of white within its steady red glow. The hum surges, resonant, undeniable. The chorus within the sphere rises, a wave cresting, voices aligning into a harmony so vast it aches in your chest. For a heartbeat the chamber feels weightless, timeless, as if the whole world pauses to listen. The suspended truths press outward again, and this time the sphere fractures, not fully, but fine cracks spiderweb across its glowing surface. Light spills through, sharp as dawn breaking a shuttered room. The Sphinx's silence tightens desperately, pressing against the cracks, her presence like a dam straining against floodwaters. She has guarded this for longer than memory, longer than the rise and fall of kingdoms. Her goodness has been built upon this suspension. If it shatters, mortals will inherit truths they were never meant to bear. Yet her silence wavers, fragile now, trembling in your heart, for she knows, as you do, that truth denied forever becomes shadow, and shadow hungers until it consumes. The coal drifts closer still, its glow brushing the sphere's fractured surface. Where it touches, the cracks widen, and the light within surges like rivers released. The suspended truths cry out in resonance, their voices no longer whispers but aching chords, unfinished songs longing to be sung. The chamber quakes, the obsidian walls ringing like struck bronze. Dust falls, the fissure behind glimmers brighter, the shadow twin thrashes, and above, though unseen, the desert wind must shriek against her carved flanks. And in the center of it all, the Sphinx bends, not in surrender but in exhaustion. Her silence holds, but it is frayed to threads, and within those threads pulses her hidden longing for release, for relief, for someone else to bear what she has carried alone. The coal glows brighter, insistent, patient, unafraid. It waits at the fractured surface of the sphere, inviting you to witness, perhaps even to choose whether her concealment will endure or whether the suspended truths will pour into the world above. The chamber holds its breath, light straining, silence quivering, voices pressing, the coal unwavering. The sphere trembles like a heart on the verge of breaking, and the Sphinx's silence leans against you one last time, heavy as a plea, fragile as a reed. The ember waits, and the suspended truths sing for freedom. The fractured sphere shivers, its glowing surface trembling as though caught between endurance and collapse. The cracks widen with faint sighs, light spilling through them in threads, thin but insistent, weaving across the chamber like rivers of dawn. The suspended truths inside press forward, their outlines clearer now, faces, hands, entire figures suspended in longing. Their voices rise into harmony, no longer whispers but a chorus unfinished, yearning for release. The air hums with their insistence, and the coal glows brighter in answer, steady as a star guiding ships through tempest. The Sphinx leans heavily upon you, her silence stretched thin as parchment, trembling yet unbroken. You feel her strain, the centuries of patience holding at their final seam. She has carried kingdoms in her silence, borne the grief of children, swallowed betrayals, erased wars, suspended futures, and now, in this chamber where indecision glows like a womb, she falters. The weight is too vast, the song too insistent, the ember too resolute. For the first time, she does not press against you to restrain, but to share, as though her silence longs to divide itself into another soul. The cracks lace deeper, and the sphere's light grows fierce, filling the chamber with shifting visions. You see the suspended truths as they might be if freed. A mother teaching her child resilience through sorrow unhidden. A kingdom fractured, but remade with honesty. Less glorious, but more enduring. A wanderer carrying grief as wisdom, shaping gentler paths. They are not tidy visions, not perfect, but they breathe with a vitality absent from concealment. You understand why she withheld them, yet you also feel the ache of their denial, the shadow cast by their endless suspension. The coal presses to the sphere's surface, its glow merging with the trembling light. The chamber shakes, obsidian veins cracking wide, red lines streaking like veins of blood across black stone. The chorus swells, filling marrow and bone, a tide of what-ifs aching to surge. The Sphinx bows low, her silence cracking audibly now, not words, not sound, but the breaking of restraint itself. It shivers in your chest, the dam of centuries trembling against flood. And then the sphere bursts, not with violence, but with brilliance. Light floods the chamber in a wave, washing over the walls, dissolving the obsidian cracks into shimmering rivers. The suspended truths spill forth, no longer trapped, their figures unfurling into the room like petals shaken from a long-held blossom. They drift, luminous, touching the air, their voices rising in song that is not sorrow but release. The chamber expands with it, the stones softening, breathing, as if relieved to no longer bear the tension. The Sphinx quivers, her silence undone. She is not destroyed, but she is changed. Her presence is raw now, unshielded, a vast heart laid open. You feel her exhaustion, her relief, her fear. She has revealed what she never intended to release. The world above may tremble with echoes of this act, the Nile's rhythm shivering, the stars bending in their courses. Yet in this chamber the suspended truths float like constellations, shining not in domination but in quiet insistence, to be remembered, to be known, to be lived. The shadow twin thrashes beyond the fissure, her blurred form inflamed by the release. She drinks of the freed truths greedily, her silence no longer empty but swelling with resonance. She grows sharper, her outline clearer, her scream more defined though still soundless. The void behind recoils, its appetite thwarted, yet it too strains, reaching for what has slipped its grasp. The balance trembles across every plane, and in the midst of this upheaval, the coal steadies, its glow calm, anchoring the storm. It hums softly, guiding your gaze toward the freed truths. They do not rush upward, not yet. They drift as though waiting for choice, for direction, for someone to bear them beyond this chamber. They hover like stars unclaimed, each one heavy with the possibility of altering all that exists. The Sphinx leans close, her silence fragile, fragmented, pleading not with command but with longing. She has been guardian for ages, bearer of concealment, custodian of mercy, turned shadow. Now, undone, she turns toward you, not to demand, not to warn, but to ask. Her plea is simple, heavier than all she has hidden. Will you carry these truths? Will you witness them so she no longer bears them alone? The chamber trembles, the freed truths shimmer, the coal glows like dawn, The shadow twin writhes, and the Sphinx waits, her silence raw, unguarded. The air itself feels poised, the song unresolved, the balance teetering between concealment and revelation. The freed truths drift nearer, patient yet insistent, as though they know a step forward will change not only her but the world itself. The freed truths drift nearer, their glow soft, their edges trembling like lanterns carried by wind. They surround you without pressing, hovering in patient orbit, each one a fragment of what the Sphinx once suspended. Their presence is not heavy, yet it fills the chamber, as though the very air has become luminous with possibility. Their song hums low, weaving through bone and breath, unresolvable yet tender, a music that aches with unfinished destinies. The Sphinx leans close, her silence no longer masked but wound. You feel her as if she were beside you in flesh, lion strength tempered with human fragility, her gaze steady yet wet with unspoken weariness. Her silence rests upon your chest, not as command but as confession. For the first time in her long guardianship, she asks for help without words. She has borne truths hidden, futures erased, possibilities suspended, yet now the burden quivers beyond endurance. She longs to share, to divide the weight, to let another witness what she has carried alone. The freed truths drift in gentle spirals, each one offering a vision as it passes. You glimpse a soldier lowering his blade, the war ending in mourning, yet sparing generations of grief. A widow speaking her sorrow openly, her neighbors weeping with her instead of shunning her silence. A kingdom breaking beneath revelation, but rebuilding into humbler, sturdier walls. They are visions of struggle, not free of pain, but touched with growth denied by concealment. Each truth hums with its own music, distinct yet part of the greater chorus, swelling in the chamber. The coal hovers steady, its glow calm, an anchor amid the rising tide of possibility. Its hum threads through the chorus, softening edges, harmonizing dissonance. It seems to remind the truths they are not forgotten, guiding their song toward coherence. Around you the obsidian walls quiver, cracks glowing red, veins pulsing as though alive. The chamber feels like a heart expanded, beating with both dread and longing. The shadow twin beyond the fissure thrashes, her blurred form sharpening. Fed by the release, she is made of concealment, and every truth freed strains her shape, forcing her to grow clearer, more real. Her silence is no longer empty but jagged, filled with shards of what once lay buried. She hungers for the freed truths to twist them into fuel, to cloak the world in shadow thicker still. The void recoils, yet its appetite sharpens, eager to devour what drifts unanchored. And above, unseen, the stone Sphinx upon the desert quivers imperceptibly, her serene face gazing eastward, even as her depths convulse. The freed truths circle closer, their glow brushing your skin like the touch of warm rain. They do not demand but wait, insistent with patience. The Sphinx's silence presses into you again, not forbidding, not guiding, but asking, will you bear them? Will you carry the cost she cannot contain? Her plea is not for her survival alone, but for the balance of all she guards. Without witness, the truths may fall into the shadow twin, or be consumed by void, or scatter uncontrolled into the world. With witness, they may endure, not as flood, but as flame, slow and steady. The coal brightens as if affirming the choice before you. Its hum deepens, threading into your heart, awakening your own pulse, until it beats in time with the chamber's rhythm. The freed truths respond, circling tighter, their song rising in volume, still tender but urgent now, yearning for direction. The sphere that once held them is gone, its light dissolved, its stasis undone. They must go somewhere, and the Sphinx's silence cannot hold them any longer. The chamber quakes, dust sifting from the unseen ceiling, cracks widening until light streams through them in jagged shafts. The freed truths shimmer in those beams, glowing brighter, ready to ascend. The shadow twin lunges against the fissure, her blurred face twisting, her silent scream shaking the air. The void strains forward, a tide of hunger, its stillness collapsing into yearning. The Sphinx bows lower, her silence almost gone, raw and trembling. And in that tremor you feel her truest secret, that beneath her mask of benevolence lies not only burden, not only shadow, but hope. She hopes not to guard forever, not to erase endlessly, but to find one who will see, who will understand, who will share the weight she cannot shed. Her silence rests in you as plea, fragile as dawn. The freed truths gather before you, luminous, insistent, their songs swelling like an ocean tide poised for release. The coal hovers among them, glowing steady, a guide, a question. The Sphinx leans close, her silence no longer command but surrender. Her mask undone, the chamber waits, trembling. The truth circling, the shadow twin clawing, the void hungering. All balance teeters on the brink, and the freed truths hover, patient yet unyielding, waiting for the choice that will shape what remains concealed and what must finally be revealed. The chamber holds its breath, luminous truths circling in patient spirals, their songs swelling but not yet breaking into flood. The coal hovers at their center, calm and unwavering, its glow like the rhythm of dawn holding the horizon steady. Around you the obsidian walls quiver, cracks running brighter, veins of molten light pulsing in time with the chorus. The shadow twin writhes at the fissure's edge, sharper now, her features hardening from blur into shape, her silence fraying into a scream that still cannot sound. The void behind strains with hunger, its stillness trembling into motion, desperate to reclaim what has slipped beyond its dominion. And the Sphinx herself, her silence trembles like reeds in rising water. Her presence is vast yet fragile, her mask of stone undone, her guardianship bared to marrow. She does not forbid, does not command, she leans near as one exhausted, her silence no longer shield but plea, resting in your chest with the weight of surrender. For the first time you sense not only her burden, but her longing, that she does not wish to endure this endless concealment forever. She has been called good because she hid, but perhaps true goodness lies in allowing truth to breathe. The freed truths drift closer, brushing your skin with warmth that tingles like memory half forgotten. Each one hums a fragment of what was denied, the daughter's question unanswered, the city's sorrow softened until it vanished, a future erased before it could open its mouth. They do not demand violently. They wait, persistent in patience, confident that concealment cannot last forever. Their song rises, unfinished but swelling, aching to become whole. The coal glows brighter, sending out a pulse that steadies the chamber's quake. The freed truths pause as if listening, and their harmony shifts, aligning more clearly. The song resolves for a moment, no longer dissonant but chordal, vast, beautiful, aching. The Sphinx bows low within you, her silence cracking in gratitude and despair alike. For she knows the song cannot be undone now. It has begun to live. The shadow twin claws at the fissure, her form almost solid, her lion flanks twitching, her human eyes blazing hollow. She is not merely a reflection, but a threat, the embodiment of concealment without mercy, the hunger of silence turned cruel. If she claims the freed truths, she will twist them into weapons, making shadow heavier than stone. The void too pulls forward, desperate to swallow the luminous fragments, to dissolve them into nothingness. The chamber quakes with these opposing hungers, and the freed truths hover on the edge of being torn apart. Yet they remain near you, as if waiting for your choice. The Sphinx leans closer, her silence now softer, almost tender, no longer a mask, but a whisper of trust. She has shown you her fire, her pools, her mask of gold, her shadow twin, her void, her suspended sphere. She has shown you every burden, every concealment, every wound, And now she offers her final secret, that she cannot hold them alone. Her silence has been her strength, but it has also been her prison. She longs not for endless guardianship, but for release. The chamber floods with brilliance as one truth brushes your hand. Its glow surges through your skin, filling you with an image not your own. A king stepping down, not in disgrace, but in humility, his people bewildered, grieving, yet growing in freedom. The pain is real, but so is the healing. The image dissolves, leaving warmth in your bones, as though you carried the echo of a life unchosen, but not unworthy. Another truth drifts close, its glow brushing your brow, filling you with the memory of a mother's lament once silenced, now voiced. Her grief pours into your veins, but it is cleansing, not destructive. The truths want to live, even if only in witness. The coal pulse is stronger, its hum echoing like heartbeat, urging steadiness. The freed truths swell in response, their chorus rising into something vast, cosmic, not destructive but unbearably full. The shadow twin lunges, her blurred silence twisting, her hollow scream pressing at the fissure. The void strains, cracks widening, darkness surging. The chamber roars without sound. The freed truths glow brighter, and the Sphinx presses her silence into you with one final plea. Not command, not burden, but trust. Light bursts across the chamber, shadows recoil, stone quakes, the fissure yawns, and the freed truths drift nearer still, brushing you as if ready to pour into your very being. The coal steadies, unwavering, guiding them toward you like stars to a constellation. The chamber trembles, the shadow twin writhes, the void groans, and the Sphinx bows, her silence breaking into something new, raw, fragile, desperate. The freed truths wait at the threshold, luminous, patient, insistent. The coal hums, steady as dawn. The Sphinx leans close, her silence no longer burden but offering, and the chamber breathes, poised between concealment and revelation, waiting for what comes when truths finally find their bearer. The freed truths linger at the threshold of your being, their glow steady, their song swelling, as though the chamber itself has become an instrument tuned to their longing. They hover, brushing your skin like embers that do not burn but remind you of fire. The coal glows at their center, its hum steady, an axis amid the tumult, guiding their rhythm, keeping the harmony from collapsing into chaos. The Sphinx leans closer, her silence fragile, trembling with the weight of surrender. She is not mask now, not stone, not guardian inviolable. She is creature laid bare, her centuries of concealment distilled into a single moment of offering. Her silence rests against your chest, like a heartbeat unspoken, waiting not to command, but to be received. She trusts, and in that trust lies her final secret, that even she, carved of mystery, longs to be unburdened. The truths press nearer, each one luminous, distinct, alive. They shimmer with visions that flare and dissolve the instant they touch you. One fills your veins with the echo of a city grieving openly, its streets flooded not with denial but with shared lament, its people closer for their pain. Another brushes your mind with the memory of a brother once hidden in disgrace, now revealed, his shame transfigured into dignity through exposure. Another coils into your chest with the sorrow of a queen who surrendered her crown rather than perpetuate falsehood, her kingdom wounded but freed of illusion. Each truth hurts, yet each carries within it a strange sweetness, like rain falling after drought, sorrow carving the bedrock for renewal. The chamber quakes under the strain of this moment. The cracks in the obsidian walls blaze, molten rivers coursing, the fissure widening with each shudder. The shadow twin surges, her form sharper now, almost solid, her lion body gleaming with shadowed sheen, her human face fierce, silent scream rippling the air. She is concealment made flesh, mercy without courage, denial turned tyrant. She lunges toward the truths, clawing the fisher's edge, desperate to seize them before they can root in you. Her hunger is palpable, the violence of silence that will not let grief breathe. Behind her, the void strains, its black appetite surging, eager to devour all, to dissolve the luminous fragments into nothing. It trembles with rage at its starvation, cracks spreading in its depthless stillness. It does not know truth, does not know concealment. It only knows erasure. Both twin and void claw forward, and the freed truths waver, fragile against such hungers. The coal pulses brighter, sending out a hum that steadies their trembling. The truths lean towards you once more, insistent in their patience. Their chorus swells, filling marrow, bone, thought. It is no longer unfinished. It has grown nearer to resolution, aching, inevitable. The Sphinx presses her silence into you, no longer as weight but as gift, the final thread she can offer. She is not asking you to cage them again. She is asking you to carry them, to bear what she cannot. One truth touches your heart fully, and it enters like flame that does not burn. You feel it unfurl within, an entire life flooding your senses. You see a kingdom where truth is spoken, fragile but enduring. You feel the ache of its loss, the strength of its survival. The song of that truth becomes your own pulse, your own breath. Another joins, weaving into the first, then another. They do not overwhelm, they braid themselves into you, gentle but insistent, each one leaving behind its note in the chorus swelling within your chest. The Sphinx bows, her silence breaking open into something almost like voice, though still wordless. It is relief, sorrow, gratitude. She is lighter now, her guardianship fractured but not destroyed. She leans on you not as master, but as companion. Her mask of serenity above the desert remains unchanged, but here in her depths she is raw, wounded, and unburdened at last. The shadow twin thrashes, her form clearer than ever, eyes blazing hollow. She is furious, desperate, for with each truth you bear, her power wanes. Her silence cannot twist what has already been received. The void shrieks without sound, collapsing inward upon itself, its appetite thwarted, cracks open across its surface, emptiness, folding upon emptiness. Yet both shadow twin and void strain, for they are not defeated. Not yet. They reach for what remains unclaimed, hungering for what you have not yet taken. The freed truths encircle you, waiting, glowing, their song now woven with your own heartbeat. The coal steadies them, guiding their rhythm, anchoring their harmony. The chamber roars with silence and song alike, a storm of concealment and revelation colliding. And at its heart, the Sphinx rests her silence in you, her plea fulfilled, her guardianship shared. The fissure widens, light and shadow tearing across its edge. The shadow twin lunges once more, her silent scream trembling with fury. The void buckles, cracks deepening, pulling inward. The chamber trembles. The freed truths glow brighter. The coal pulses with dawn. And the Sphinx leans against you, lighter, fragile, yet filled with a strange and fearful hope. The truths hover close, luminous, waiting to pour fully into you, waiting to be born into the world above. The shadow strains, the void hungers, the chamber shudders, and the coal steadies, unwavering. And you, standing at the threshold, feel the weight of the Sphinx's secret pressing fully upon you, the secret not of her benevolence, nor her mask, nor her shadow, but of her longing that the truth she hid might live at last, even if through another. The freed truths hover close, their glow now woven into the rhythm of your chest. Each pulse of light threads into your being, not consuming but intertwining, like rivers merging into a single current. They are no longer merely fragments floating in suspension, they are becoming memory, song, weight, and breath within you. The coal steadies them, its hum vibrating through marrow, keeping harmony where chaos might have torn. The chamber glows brighter with each truth that joins you, its stone trembling as though relieved to surrender what it held for so long. The Sphinx leans near, her silence softer now, less burden, more benediction. She watches as her guardianship disperses, as the truths she once buried take root in another. Relief and grief ripple within her vast stillness, for she has lost the very essence of her role, yet she has also gained what she could never shape alone: witness. Her silence against your chest no longer weighs, it rests. You feel her gratitude, fragile as dawn, fierce as desert heat, wordless yet undeniable. But the fissure at the chamber's edge quakes wider, stone cracking with thunderless force. The shadow twin, now nearly whole, thrusts forward, her lion body powerful, her human face fierce, her eyes hollows filled with unyielding hunger. She embodies the Sphinx's other side, the mercy that rotted into cruelty, the concealment that hardened into tyranny. Every truth you take diminishes her strength, yet every fragment not yet claimed is fuel for her grasp. Her silence is jagged, violent, the scream of a world denied its grief. She lunges, her claws pressing against the fissure's lip, straining to break through. Behind her, the void convulses, folding upon itself, its appetite collapsing inward. Cracks ripple across its stillness, emptiness shattering into deeper emptiness. It howls without sound, a hunger starved, a force unfulfilled, yet even in collapse it pulls, yearning to drag light into dissolution. Its tremors ripple through the chamber, shaking the freed truths, making them flicker, some waver toward shadow, some toward void. The harmony frays, song twisting with dissonance. The coal brightens sharply, sending out a hum like a bell struck in eternity. The wavering truths steady, their glow flaring, their song regaining coherence. They circle you more tightly, as though choosing their course, as though ready to merge completely. The Sphinx bows lower, her silence trembling in awe and surrender. She no longer resists, she offers. She yields the last of her hidden burden, trusting it into your keeping. And then one truth, brighter than the rest, presses fully into you. It surges through your veins, a flood of vision and ache. You see a land parched by falsehood, its soil cracked, its people hollow-eyed. And then the truth enters, painful, heavy, but cleansing. The people weep, their sorrow bitter, yet in the weeping springs rise, crops bloom, bonds reform. You feel the ache of their tears, the sweetness of their survival. It becomes yours, not as borrowed memory, but as pulse, as marrow. Another follows, and another. They rush into you now, not trickling but flowing, their light threading into your blood, their songs swelling in your breath. Each one is sorrow, each one is wound, yet each one holds renewal. They do not crush you, they expand you. You become not container but vessel, carrying without breaking. The coal glows within you now, its hum aligned with your heart. The chamber shudders violently, cracks raining dust, light spilling from wounds in the stone. The shadow twin thrashes, her scream pressing into soundlessness, her fury desperate. She cannot claim what is claimed, cannot twist what is born, yet her hunger sharpens, her eyes hollowing deeper, her claws raking at the fissure, until sparks flare, the void collapses further, folding inward, its appetite consuming itself, yet still it pulls, dragging at the chamber, threatening to unravel what has just been woven. The Sphinx presses her silence into you one last time, but it is not burden, not plea, it is thanks. She is lighter now, her guardianship fractured, her secrecy undone. Her goodness, once a mask, has been revealed as both mercy and cruelty, light and shadow. She no longer hides it. She stands bare, unveiled, and in that unveiling, she is truer than she has ever been. The freed truths circle faster, their glow blending, their song rising into crescendo. The coal flares white-hot, steady, unwavering. The chamber shakes as though the desert itself trembles above. The fissure cracks wider, shadow twin lunging, void collapsing, stone dissolving in torrents of light. The balance is shattering. The climax near, and you, vessel of truth, stand at the heart of it, filled with sorrow that heals, burden that expands, light that aches. The Sphinx bows before you, her silence no longer concealment, but reverence. The coal hums within you, steady as dawn. The freed truths sing louder, awaiting the moment when their song will burst beyond the chamber, into the desert, into the world. The fissure splits further, the shadow twin surges, the void groans, and the chamber quakes as though all creation strains. The truths within you burn brighter, pressing outward, their chorus unstoppable. The choice is no longer whether they will live. The choice is only how they will break into the world. The chamber trembles as though the desert above were shifting in its sleep, every grain of sand stirred by the tension swelling here below. The freed truths blaze within you now, their chorus woven into your breath, your blood, your thought. They are no longer fragments suspended. They are alive, carried, born. Their song has grown too vast for stone to contain, too resonant for silence to smother. The coal within you hums steady, a rhythm anchoring the storm, holding harmony where chaos strains. The Sphinx bows before you, her silence undone, her guardianship dissolved. She is not diminished, but transformed. Her serenity unmasked, her goodness revealed in its fractures, kindness that once withheld, mercy that once imprisoned. Her eyes, if they could be seen beneath the desert sun, would glisten with both loss and relief. She leans close, not as ruler, but as companion, her silence resting in your chest, like trust, like reverence. For in you the truths she concealed now live, and her long burden is finally divided. But the fissure at the edge of the chamber splits wider, jagged as a wound torn open. The shadow twin surges forward, no longer blur but form, her body the lion's strength, her face the human's ferocity, her gaze empty hollows of hunger. She is concealment without mercy, secrecy turned cruelty, a mask that refuses to break. Her silent scream shakes the air, her claws raking against the stone, sparks scattering. She strains to seize what lingers, for every truth not yet rooted in you is prey for her dominion. Her presence is dreadful, a reminder of what silence can become when it is hardened into weapon. Behind her the void convulses, folding in upon itself with spasms of absence. Cracks race across its surface, darkness breaking into deeper darkness. It collapses inward, even as it pulls outward, its appetite ravenous, desperate to dissolve what light now thrives. The chamber groans, caught between shadow and void, concealment and erasure, each pulling against the rising song of truth. The freed truths within you flare, their chorus swelling into something vaster than mortal pulse. Their song expands, filling the chamber like a tide, pressing against stone, echoing into fissure and void alike. The shadow twin staggers under its resonance, her scream faltering though no sound comes. The void recoils, trembling at a music it cannot consume. The coal pulses brighter within you, guiding the truths, binding their voices into harmony so radiant it feels as though the desert itself might split. The Sphinx trembles, her silence breaking into shivers of awe. She has never heard the truths sung together. She has only known them in fragments, suspended, hushed. Now through you, they rise whole, fierce and tender, painful and renewing. Her mask of goodness shatters fully, not into ruin, but into honesty. She bows lower still, her silence an offering, not to command, but to honor. The chamber erupts with light. The cracks in the obsidian walls blaze, rivers of molten glow cascading, stone splitting into shards that dissolve into radiance. The fissure tears wider, the shadow twin lurching forward, her claws breaking through, her face contorted with fury. She is desperate, feral, her silence violent. Yet as she nears, the truths within you flare brighter, their song striking her like waves against cliff. She staggers, hollows trembling, her form fraying at the edges. The void convulses deeper, collapsing into itself with thunderless force. It strains to swallow all, to erase both light and shadow, to drag the chorus into nothingness. Yet the coal hums steady within you, its rhythm anchoring, its glow holding. The truths do not scatter, they hold fast, their song unwavering. And then the Sphinx rises, not to silence, not to conceal, but to stand beside you. Her presence swells, no longer mask, no longer prison, but ally. Her silence is no longer denial, but space, a stillness that honors the song rather than suppressing it. She faces her twin across the fissure, gazes into the hollows that mirror her own face, stripped of mercy, and she does not tremble. Her secret has been revealed. Her goodness, her darkness, her burden. They are no longer hidden. She is whole, unveiled, and unafraid. The shadow twin shrieks without voice, lashing against fissure, desperate to consume. The void groans, collapsing, its hunger tearing at the chamber. The freed truths within you burn brighter, their song vast, unstoppable, ready to burst beyond these walls into desert. Sky, stars, the coal hums steady, unwavering, anchoring you to what is coming. The chamber quakes, stone dissolves, fissure widens, void collapses. The Sphinx leans at your side, her silence no longer concealment, but reverence. The freed truths glow, their chorus trembling at the threshold of release. All waits upon the edge, poised between revelation and ruin, concealment and freedom. The desert above must hear, the stars must listen, the world must change. The truths within you swell, their song unstoppable. The fissure rips wider, the shadow twin thrashes, the void convulses, and the chamber prepares to break. And you stand at its heart, vessel of what was hidden, bearer of what must live, the coal steady within you, the Sphinx at your side. The moment has come. The chamber breaks open like a shell, giving way to the bird inside. Light bursts upward in torrents, racing along cracks, climbing toward the desert above. The freed truths, now fully alive within you, rise with the flood, their song no longer confined to hidden stone. Their voices pour through you into the air, weaving with the hum of the coal that steadies them, carrying sorrow and renewal in equal measure. It is not destruction, it is unveiling. The world that once walked blind will feel the tremor of eyes opening. The Sphinx rises beside you, vast and solemn. Her silence is no longer suffocating, but reverent, the stillness that lets music resonate. She gazes into the widening fissure where her shadow twin writhes, claws raking, face twisted with hunger. The twin lunges, but the truths surge in chorus, striking her form with radiance. Each note shreds her hollows, unraveling her into smoke. She thrashes, dissolving piece by piece, until she is only an echo, fading into the void behind. But the void is not gone. It convulses in collapse, folding inward, yet still it pulls, hungry to swallow even the light that triumphs. The truths within you flare brighter, their song vibrating through your ribs, their harmony clashing with the void's silence. You feel its hunger claw at your soul, tempting, whispering, release them into nothing. Let the ache end, for bearing truth is weight, and the void offers ease. The coal burns within you, steady, unwavering. Its hum rises like a hand gripping yours, pulling you back from surrender. The truths lean into you, not pleading, not commanding, but trusting. They ask you to hold, to endure, to carry what is harder than forgetfulness. Their song presses into your marrow, fierce yet tender. Pain is not end, concealment is not mercy, shadow is not goodness. To live truth is to bear its ache, and to let its ache shape the world. The Sphinx bows low, her silence shivering with awe. She has never seen this, her twin undone, her void collapsing, her truth sung aloud. Her guardianship is shattered, her secret revealed. Yet in that breaking she finds a freedom she never imagined. She is not diminished, she is remade. The mask of serenity she wore for ages still gazes upon the desert. But here within, her unveiled heart glistens like water freed from stone. The fissure tears fully open, and above, the desert feels it. Sand shifts, wind howls, stars shiver. The colossal body of the Sphinx quakes, its carved calm enduring even as tremors ripple through its hidden depth. Mortals near its pores stir in sleep, dreaming restless dreams of truths they have never faced. Kings in their chambers twist in slumber, priests murmur uneasily in temples. Children wake with tears unbidden. The chorus of truths threads into their hearts, planting seeds they cannot yet name. The void convulses one last time, collapsing inward, its hunger collapsing upon itself. With a thunderless implosion, it folds into nothingness, leaving only faint tremors. The chamber steadies, no longer strained between concealment and erasure. The shadow twin is gone, the void undone. Only the Sphinx, the coal, the truths, and you remain. The freed truths shimmer, their song softer now, no longer straining, but settling. They weave themselves into you fully, becoming marrow, breath, thought. You feel them as part of you, inseparable. They will not leave, they will not scatter. You are their bearer now, their vessel, their voice. The Sphinx presses her silence against you one final time, lighter than it has ever been. It rests like a hand upon your shoulder, not as burden, not as plea, but as recognition. She has given her secret, she has surrendered her mask, she has revealed her shadow. She is no longer guardian of concealment. She is witness alongside you. The chamber glows with the last radiance of its unveiling. The coal hums, steady as always, now beating with your pulse. The freed truths sigh within you, their song a quiet lullaby after storm. The Sphinx lifts her gaze, serene yet unmasked, her silence no longer trembling but whole. Above, the desert waits, wind shifting, stars glimmering, the world stirs uneasily, sensing change. What was hidden is no longer hidden. What was mercy disguised is now truth alive. The Sphinx has shed her secrecy, and you carry what she once concealed. The fissure closes slowly, sealing shadow and void away. The chamber steadies, luminous yet calm. The Sphinx leans close, her silence resting with trust. The coal glows, the truths breathe within you. The desert above shivers. The story is not ended. It is beginning again, in a world that must learn to carry what was once denied. The chamber, once fractured by shadow and void, rests now in trembling calm, its walls streaked with faint rivers of light where cracks had burned. The silence inside it is different, no longer oppressive, but reverent, as if the stone itself bows to what has unfolded. The freed truths, carried within you, sing quietly now, their voices woven into your breath, your thought, your marrow. They do not strain toward escape. They belong, and in belonging they endure. The Sphinx watches you with a gaze heavy yet unmasked. Her silence rests not as burden but as acknowledgement. She has revealed her secret, the weight of mercy that denied, the shadow of concealment that bound her goodness in chains. She has seen her twin undone, her void collapse, her truths take root in you. What she once guarded as hidden wound now lives as radiant scar, and in this she finds her strange freedom, though it unsettles her vast ancient soul. Above, the desert stirs. The wind shifts uneasily, as though it has overheard the chorus you now carry. Sand shivers across the wide plateau, rippling as if remembering something long buried. Mortals who dwell near the pores of the great stone figure dream restlessly, Kings feel the tremor in their sleep. Priests wake with whispers caught on their tongues, and children turn toward unseen light with tears drying on their cheeks. They cannot name what stirs them, yet they sense that the age of concealment has faltered, that the serene mask which presided for centuries has fractured in silence. The coal hums softly within you, its glow steady, anchoring the truths you bear. It does not fade, but it no longer pulses with urgency. Its role shifts, becoming not a spark of release, but a rhythm of endurance. It is the thread binding the truths into harmony, the quiet access that prevents their song from dissolving into cacophony. You feel it align with your pulse, steady, patient, unyielding. The Sphinx leans close, and her silence presses lightly against you. It no longer pleads, it honors. She knows that what once was her solitary guardianship is now shared. The truths cannot return to suspension, nor would she wish them to. They will live through you, ripple into the world, shift the Nile's reflection, alter the course of stars in their slow arc. Yet even as relief softens her, grief lingers too. She has shed what defined her for millennia. Without her secret, what is she? Guardian, monument, witness? The questions tremble inside her silence, and you feel their ache. The desert above feels it too. The great stone body of the Sphinx, still gazing east, quivers beneath the surface, though no eye notices. The carved face remains serene, but beneath it lies the unveiled truth. The Sphinx has changed, and with her the world will change as well. For truths once hidden always alter the ground when they are finally spoken. Yet even in triumph, echoes remain. The fissure that held the shadow twin is sealed, but faint tremors linger, as if some part of her waits in the cracks, a whisper of concealment that will never fully vanish. The void has collapsed, but its memory hums faintly, reminding all that nothingness is always near, always hungry. The balance holds, but it quivers. The freed truths rest within you, yet they too will press outward, seeking expression in the world above. The task of bearing them is not ended. It has only begun. The Sphinx understands. She leans close, her silence warm, almost tender. She no longer hides her fragility, her uncertainty. She allows you to feel it as she does, the trembling of one who has revealed everything, who stands without mask, who does not know what she will become. She has given up her ancient role and must learn to exist in another way. Her silence is not absence, not denial. It is space, waiting, holding, watching what will unfold. The chamber steadies, luminous but quiet. The coal glows faint, steady. The truths hum low within you. The Sphinx lowers her vast form beside you, her silence resting not as command but as kinship. Above, the desert waits uneasily, the wind restless, the stars leaning closer. Mortals stir, sensing change they cannot name. The mask of benevolence has cracked, and through its fissures truth has risen. You feel the truths inside you shift softly, restless, not content to remain hidden in a single vessel. Their song will find ways into the world, through dream, through voice, through trembling star. They are not finished. They are only beginning. The Sphinx watches, her silence deep, her gaze steady. She is not afraid, though she does not yet know what she will be. The coal hums, the truths breathe, the desert shivers, and you stand at the center, bearer of what was hidden, vessel of what was once denied, waiting as the first ripples of revelation begin to reach the world above. The chamber's glow softens into a steady radiance, as if the stone itself breathes easier now that centuries of burden have been released. The silence within no longer aches with concealment, but hums like air after storm, heavy with memory yet washed clean. The freed truths rest inside you, their chorus subdued, no longer pressing outward in urgency, but singing in low harmony, a constant undercurrent. They are not gone, they are becoming part of the world through you, woven into pulse and breath. The Sphinx lowers herself beside you, her vast presence folded inward, no longer towering but contemplative. Her silence presses gently, steady as the desert horizon. Once it smothered, once it withheld, but now it holds with tenderness, a gesture of kinship. She is learning as you are, what it means to exist without mask. Her guardianship defined her for millennia. Now she steps into a life unmoored from that singular duty. In the fragility of this shift lies her true greatness, though she does not yet see it. Above, the desert stirs more boldly. The wind carries unfamiliar tones, neither storm nor calm, but something unsettled. Sand moves as if restless, dunes reshaping as though drawn by unseen hands. Stars tremble faintly, their courses not shifted, but aware. Mortals feel it too. Kings wake in sweat, their dreams filled with fractured visions of broken crowns and unveiled halls. Priests tremble at their altars, words dying on their tongues. Children wake weeping but calmer afterward, as if touched by truths they do not yet understand. The world senses the crack in concealment, though it cannot yet name the change. The coal glows steady within you, its hum aligning with the truth's song, its presence anchoring. It is the hidden axis of this unfolding, not dramatic, not loud, but unyielding. You feel its rhythm guide the truths as they weave deeper into you, shaping marrow, altering perception. It steadies you against the tremor of what you now bear, against the ache of knowledge that will ripple through every breath you take. The Sphinx gazes into the distance of her own silence. Within her you sense a struggle, relief that her burden is divided, grief that her role is dissolved, wonder at what she has become. She no longer hides her uncertainty. She lets you feel it, a vulnerability vast as the desert itself. For the first time in ages, she does not know what tomorrow holds, and instead of masking it, she allows herself to tremble. In her trembling there is honesty. In her honesty, a deeper kind of strength. The chamber itself seems to respond. Its cracks, once blazing, glow faintly now like embers. The fissure where the shadow twin writhed is sealed, yet a faint scar remains. A reminder that concealment's hunger is never wholly destroyed. The memory of the void lingers too, a hollow echo in the edges of thought, warning that erasure always waits near silence. But neither shadow nor void reign now. The truths hum within you, and the Sphinx stands unveiled, no longer ruler of concealment, but witness to revelation. Above, the desert quakes faintly. Those who walk near the pause of the great stone figure pause, sensing a weight they cannot name. Some fall to their knees without knowing why. Others avert their eyes, uneasy beneath the calm gaze carved into the horizon. They do not know that within, behind stone, silence has changed. They see only what they have always seen: serenity, majesty, calm. Yet, beneath it beats the rhythm of unveiled truth, carried now into the world. The Sphinx leans close once more, her silence pressing softly, almost tender. You feel her gratitude, vast yet fragile. She no longer stands alone. She no longer hides behind the mask of goodness unbroken. Her secret has been revealed, her darkness confronted, her burden divided. She is freer, though her freedom is strange, uncharted, uncertain. She offers you her silence not as command, not as plea, but as companionship. The truths within you stir. Their chorus rises a little, swelling in gentle waves. They do not cry for release now. They are patient, waiting to ripple outward in their own time. They know they will seep into the world through you, through dream, through word, through presence. They are content, yet insistent in their persistence. You will never again walk as you once did. You are their bearer, their vessel, their living witness. The chamber steadies into stillness. The coal hums, the truths glow. The Sphinx leans beside you. Above, the desert waits, restless, sensing change. The stars glimmer faintly closer, as if listening, and you feel within you the first tremors of the truths pressing upward, ready to move from silence into sound, from concealment into life. The Sphinx closes her eyes, her silence resting fully in trust. The desert wind rises, carrying whispers it does not yet understand. The coal hums on, the truths breathe in you, and the world above leans toward the threshold, where what was hidden will soon find voice. The desert above is restless. Dunes shift as if stirred by breath too vast to belong to mortal wind. The stars bend their listening closer, trembling faintly, and the silence between constellations seems charged, like a loom waiting for its final threads. You stand within the chamber still, yet you feel the pressure of the surface, as if the world presses downward to glimpse what now lives within you. The truths pulse, steady and patient, their rhythm expanding beyond your body, threading out like roots through sand and stone. The Sphinx watches with eyes neither carved nor mortal, but luminous with a new kind of presence. She is no longer only the sentinel of concealment, her silence has changed into something more fluid, more yielding. You sense the strain in her still centuries of holding, centuries of masking. But beneath that weight is release. She trembles with wonder at her own transformation, as though tasting a freedom she had forgotten existed. She no longer hides the ache of uncertainty. Instead, she lets it be seen, lets it hum openly between you. A confession without words. The coal within your chest glows with steadier light. Its warmth expands, humming through your bones, carrying the truths outward with subtle strength. You feel the world leaning into you. Unknowingly, its pulse already beginning to adjust to the resonance you carry. In dreams, mortals stir more vividly. They see strange patterns in their sleep. Serpents of light winding around pyramids, suns rising from under sand, rivers flowing upward into the sky. They wake unsettled, yet calmer, as if touched by truths too deep to hold in waking speech. Kings grow quiet at their tables. Priests pause mid-offering. Children gaze at the night with new softness in their eyes. The ripple has begun. The Sphinx turns her gaze upward as if she too hears the shifting above. Her silence folds around you, steadying. But this time she does not command stillness. She shares it, as if lending you part of her ancient strength while leaning upon the steadiness you now embody. Her body, carved in stone above, still rests serene, but her spirit beside you quivers with awe. For ages she bore her burden alone. Now she watches it flow outward, no longer locked within her silence, but given shape through your living breath. The chamber responds. Its cracks glow like veins of fire beneath stone, pulsing gently in time with your heartbeat. The fissure that once birthed the shadow twin remains sealed, its scar faintly luminous, as if a reminder that concealment's hunger lingers at the edges. The void's hollow echo still whispers faintly too, promising oblivion, but its strength falters in the presence of truths freed. What once devoured memory now retreats, starved, leaving behind silence that no longer feels oppressive but deep, like a well filled with water instead of emptiness. Yet there is unease outside. The desert trembles beneath its own weight. Statues shudder faintly. Temples moan as though their stones remember. The Nile swells beyond its course, restless with tides that should not rise. Birds alter their flights, circling in strange patterns. Something vast is aware, watching, resisting. The truth's release has not gone unnoticed. There are powers bound to concealment still, voices that fed upon the hidden, and they stir uneasily at the unravelling of their dominion. You feel them at the edges of the wind, their murmurs coiling through sandstorms not yet born. The Sphinx lowers her head, a shadow of sorrow crossing her gaze. She feels them too. They are not her kin, but they are born of the same silence she once ruled. They will not let go of concealment easily. You sense her fear, not for herself, but for what she has unbound. She wonders if in freeing truth, she has loosed a greater chaos, And yet she does not retreat. She leans closer to you, her vast wings folding around as if to shelter flame from storm. Her silence tightens, not to hide but to protect, a barrier woven from her last strength as guardian. The truths within you stir in answer, their chorus rising faintly, patient but unyielding. They will not be smothered. They will not retreat into hidden vaults again. They hum in your marrow, promising endurance, promising to outlast shadow. They are not brittle revelations, but living rivers, meant to flow and change. Their patience is not weakness. It is inevitability. The desert wind above swells suddenly, carrying grit that lashes stone and sand. Distant thunder groans. Though no storm clouds wheel, mortals glance skyward, sensing omen, hearts pounding without reason. The stars tilt closer still, trembling at the threshold. The world leans upon the edge of unveiling, balanced between concealment's resistance and truth's persistence. Beside you, the Sphinx lifts her gaze once more. Her silence is fierce now, protective but fragile, stretched thin against the rising weight above. She does not speak, but you feel the question trembling within her vastness. Will you stand firm when concealment strikes back? Will you hold steady when the storm of what was hidden resists its own unmasking? The coal hums in answer, its glow unfaltering. The truths pulse within you, ready, steady, patient and vast. And far above, the desert quakes, as if the world itself is preparing to test the weight of what has been freed. The desert storm rises at last, not of rain, but of sand and sound, a vast upheaval of concealment's final protest. Grains lash against stone, carving lines into monuments thought eternal, as if time itself seeks to claw back what has been released. The air is thick with shadows of silence, echoes of what once fed on secrets, pressing hard upon the world to force truths back beneath the earth. Yet within the chamber the glow of the coal hums steady, anchoring you as the weight above grows fierce. The truths within your marrow rise in chorus, their song low but unbreakable, resonating beyond walls, beyond dunes, beyond the boundaries of night. The Sphinx rises beside you, her wings unfurling into the chamber with a majesty that bends stone. Her silence, once concealment, is now defiance, a stillness stronger than storm, a calm that does not suppress but steadies. She leans into her transformation fully, no longer the guardian of hidden vaults, but the companion of revelation. Her body trembles under the strain, for the storm is vast, born of ages of secrecy and fear, but she does not bend. Her silence is no longer prison. It is sanctuary. The truths inside you surge upward, pressing through your skin, not as words, not as proclamations, but as breath, as presence. They seep into the storm itself, weaving among the grains of sand, into the roar of concealment's resistance. The storm falters where they pass, not broken by force, but softened, lulled, unwound by inevitability. The hidden cannot remain so when the rhythm of truth pulses within every breath of wind. The resistance shreds upon itself, fierce but finite, while truth is patient, infinite, living. The coal burns brighter, not with fire but with depth, a steady pulse that aligns with desert, sky and stars. It is not victory you feel, nor triumph, but a settling, a balance tipping at last. The storm thins into whispers, the sand falling heavy, the sky clearing to reveal constellations trembling in wonder. The resistance does not vanish entirely. It retreats diminished, clinging to the edges of silence where shadows still linger. Concealment will never wholly die, for shadow walks beside light, but its reign is broken, its dominion cracked. The Sphinx lowers her wings, her vast body settling once more into stillness. She gazes at you, and for the first time her silence feels wholly unburdened. She is no longer chained by centuries of hidden weight. She is not lessened, though her role has ended. She is transformed. Her greatness is no longer her guarding, but her yielding, her willingness to let truth breathe. She bows her head, not in defeat, but in reverence for you, for what has been born, for what will ripple forth. Above, the desert breathes in new rhythm. Mortals stir in their sleep, waking to dreams vivid with revelation. Rivers that run backward into memory, temples rising from beneath dunes, voices whispering forgotten names that bring peace instead of fear. Kings wake humbled, their crowns heavy with thought. Priests bow, their chants faltering into silence filled with awe. Children wake laughing, their eyes bright with wonder. The truths once sealed now move gently through the fabric of the world, not violent, not abrupt, but steady as dawn. The chamber glows softly now, its cracks faint embers, its fissure sealed, its void hushed. You feel the truths resting within you, no longer pressing outward with urgency. They are content, woven into your being, ready to flow where they must. The coal hums on, its rhythm aligned with your heart, anchoring you as bearer, as vessel. You are not crushed by the weight, you are expanded, as though every breath now carries echoes of eternity. The Sphinx leans close one last time, her silence enfolding you, not as burden, not as plea, but as gift. You feel gratitude vast as the desert, sorrow gentle as twilight, and a strange, tender joy. She is not diminished in release. She is finally herself, unveiled, whole. Her silence no longer hides, no longer binds. It simply is, vast and calm as the horizon. The stars above brighten, closer, as if bowing. The desert steadies. The storm is gone. The world holds new rhythm. And within you, the truths hum on, quiet yet inexhaustible, awaiting their time to ripple into each corner of existence. The Sphinx closes her eyes. Her silence rests eternal, serene, no longer a mask. You breathe with her, the coal glowing steady within you, and the world, once trembling with secrecy, leans gently into dawn. So the Sphinx's secret is no longer what it hides, but what it released. The darkness confronted, the truths unveiled, the silence transformed. And in that unveiling, the creature once feared for concealment becomes the companion of revelation. Her legacy no longer shadow, but the calm after storm, the vastness of night sky holding truths like stars. The desert exhales, the stars steady, the coal hums, the truths endure. And you, their bearer, walk into a world forever changed, beneath the serene gaze of the Sphinx, who at last is free,